Welcome back, everybody. And today is a very special episode because today we're not talking about kids with giant keys. Today
we're talking about kids with giant fires.
And giant arrows on their head. That's where I was going. But
marginally more ridiculous.
yeah, but it's also a very special episode because we're not talking about something that one of us knows like everything about and the other one absolutely jack shit. We're talking about something that's very dear to both of our hearts.
This
So
for
get
a
ready
change.
for some heated discussion.
Oh, no, without a doubt. I am going to try to not go as ridiculously off topic and in depth as I did in the actual episode reviews, because otherwise we'll be here all night.
Yeah.
Personally, because some of the episode reviews that I did individually are almost as long as the actual episodes, which is ridiculous. So let's get into it right away.
Yes. Let's just go one by one and start with episode 1.
You've been watching my reviews, right? They're not all online at the time of recording this, but you've been watching them.
Up till episode 5, yes.
That's, I think, episode 6 went up today as we record
Yeah.
this. You haven't watched that yet. That makes sense.
I've been buying a new car, so
Yeah, this is kind of like a thing. I'm very curious to see your opinions on episode 6, because that is where I personally have like my opinion like kind of sets on this show. But personally, while watching this, I had two things that I kept in mind, which I do bring up quite often in the reviews, and I want to just start off with that from my perspective. Is number one, who is this show for? And number two, and I admit that in a lot of my review videos, that's not always a thing I do. I try to not judge this by how it does or doesn't change things from the original.
yeah.
Not on a service level.
Right. Yeah, I've been trying to do that, but
It's hard to do, right? Because
Yes.
especially when something changes and it is worse. I don't mind. I've been seeing a lot of like content creators on TikTok and YouTube and stuff bitch about this show, and a lot of it is legitimate, and a lot of it is just it's different. And I don't think it's different is a good argument. I think it is different, and that changes things in XYZ way is
That
valid
might be a
criticism.
good argument. Yeah, that might be a good argument, but just saying, well, it's different. I don't like it.
Like, if you want the original, go watch the original. That is
Yeah.
my perspective on things. Because
Yeah, and
the original is there.
up till exactly, and up to you gotta do something else, otherwise you're just making the original and that already exists.
Yeah, you're making something that's going to be objectively just worse than the original if you're trying to create it the exact same way. I mean, it's still a television show, quote unquote, but it's a different medium. The episodes are about twice as long, meaning that pacing is going to be different, meaning that decisions are going to be different, meaning that art direction is going to be different. A lot of things are going to be different, and that's going to impact certain things. So just, it's different. I try to avoid as a bad argument, but sometimes it's easy to fall back into that because you do compare it to the original.
No, there's no getting around that, but that's fine.
Okay.
Let's start with episode 1.
Let's start with episode 1. The very first impressions of the episode. We've talked a little bit about episode 1, and then we both, without discussing it, decided let's stop talking to each other about this because this is going to be way more interesting to have on video.
Yeah.
Episode 1 starts not with Katara and Sokka, not with Aang, but in the Fire Nation.
Yeah, and that's...
Immediately,
I
let's
get it.
compare.
I mean, I get it because it's, like we said, it's a different medium and on a different platform, in which you need to capture the audience in the first... It's not TikTok like you need to capture the audience in the first 10 seconds, but at least in the first few minutes. So putting some action at the start and some intrigue, that seems logical, and that's fine.
It feels very Netflixy to start off on like the mysterious action. I think it works because of the other thing that I just mentioned. Who is this show for? And throughout my viewing experience of this, I personally went way deeper into. This is made for people who've seen the original show. This is not an entry point for new fans. Maybe some new fans come from this. I feel very bad for them. So with that in mind, I think that this works well because as a viewer, you immediately know, oh, we're in the Fire Nation capital. There's an Earth Kingdom dude just running for his life. You can fill in the blanks very quickly.
Well, we'll get to that a bit more, but I'm not sure about the argument that this is just made for people who've seen the original. I was gonna do an experiment, but we just didn't do it. To watch the new show with my girlfriend who hasn't seen anything of the original. We didn't get to that because, again, new car and shit. But I'm very interested to see if she can follow along and if there's questions and things. But
I think for the most part, new viewers can watch this. I just don't think that it is made with those people primarily in mind. I think
that seems fair.
I think what this is for is, number one, a way for Netflix to boost their subscription numbers for a month or two, because that's their business model. And from Nickelodeon's perspective, or whoever's trying to buy Nickelodeon at this point, I don't know, it is for raising brand awareness, because they've got like a lot of plans going forward for Avatar. So I feel like that's kind of the reason that this exists, and also kind of the reason that I'm afraid there might not be a season 2. Because despite all the complaining that I've so far done, and that I'm doubtlessly going to do going forward, I really did like this season.
Oh, yeah.
Starting off with that first scene, I really do like the fact that that we get to see into the Fire Nation before it was all evil and stuff, and how the war got started. Usually that's something we get a little bit more insight to later in like season 3 of the original show. Kind of like the fact that throws in some nuance from the start, which is honestly much needed.
Yeah, the whole Fire Nation obviously is built on the image of Nazi Germany. That kind of makes them just empty bad guys, just being bad for the sake of being bad. This gives a little bit more depth, and which was kind of needed.
I think, and this is a little bit of you can't have it both ways. I'm gonna do it in the original show with Firelord Sozin. You can feel that the initial idea behind expanding the Fire Nation comes from a twisted sense of like a noble desire to help the rest of the world be like stable and peaceful. That certainly seems to be still in place here, but then over the generations, by the time we get to Ozai, that's entirely gone, and it's just, I shall rule the world, you know?
Not necessarily. I mean, that was the idea with Germany in the 1930s. You know, our way of life is pretty cool. Let's bring that to other people. And that noble, in a sense, idea of we have it good, let's spread that around, can be twisted into doing some very horrible stuff. But that idea never changes. Ozai is still...
Ozai literally says to Aang that his people and other people don't exist to live in his world. Like, Ozai's removed from that sentiment altogether.
yeah, fair enough.
But in this version, he's not. In this version, he feels like more of an extension of that, which, when we get more into the Zuko stuff later, I'm torn about. But I do like seeing that as the actual start here. And then the Fire Lord, Sozin, just setting a dude on fire immediately sets a tone for, like, we can see that the original show was like PG-7, I believe. This is 12, for good reason.
Yeah, they make good use of that, and that's something that was always implied in the cartoon. Like, you can do some very horrific shit with the whole bending, and the furthest that ever got was bloodbending. Here we're just immediately setting the tone, like, people are gonna die, and you're gonna see it, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a good thing that people die, but you get one.
It's a good thing for the viewing experience.
Yeah.
I think it does set that tone much more immediately. Like you say, in the original show, we've got bloodbending, we've got Zuko's scar, which is, while less immediately terrifying than bloodbending, a equally gruesome piece of evidence of how horrible that this stuff can be. And here in the cartoon, it's when there's firebending, just people fall over. It's never that someone actually sets the fuck on fire. Yeah, no, that doesn't really happen. And to be fair, beyond this point, there's like one or two scenes where in the live action show, where people literally get set on fire, and aside from that, it's still just kind of like less so firebending and more so just, I don't want to say energy bending because that is like a separate actual thing, of course.
It's a bit of fire pushing over.
It is more of push bending than fire bending for the most part, and that does hold true to some extent in this. I get it, you can't literally burn everybody who comes across any firebender.
And also, that's not what they're... well, for the firebending, that may be different, but for all the other disciplines of bending, it's not like they're trying to kill anyone else. They're just trying to either incapacitate, get people out of the way, or win a fight, but never just actually killing someone.
I mean, I would imagine that the Earth Kingdom army has different opinions on that, but our main characters definitely are just trying to get away or incapacitate their opponents until Toph joins the gang, at which point I like she definitely has I'm gonna kill them vibes.
Oh yeah,
but that's not in this season. I am as well. But then, okay, I need to complain about this again because, and maybe you have an answer. Please tell me you have an answer. We move away from the Fire Nation, unless there's something else you have to say about the Fire Nation in the past.
Really, looks cool.
It does look cool.
Very, very dark though.
Yeah, it's nighttime. We move to the Air Nomad, and the Air Nomads have the Great Comet Festival because the writers needed them to be in one place at one time. That is why they have that festival.
But they didn't though, because, and again, take a shot every time we say this, but in the original, there's also a simultaneous attack on the
on all the four temples.
Yeah, but on all four at the same time. So there's a bit of strategy and splitting up of troops and some interesting factors. Here's just everybody's here. Let's set them the fuck on fire.
Yeah, no. The thing is that this can't have been the first time that the comet was here, because they literally say there was at least a festival 100 years ago. So we can assume that either 100 years ago they had a festival because they saw a comet, or they knew that it was coming, meaning that it's been around for multiple times. Surely, also, Sojin knew that it was coming and what its effect was. So surely that's a festival that the Fire Nation would have, because it would impact their way of life, their bending. Why do the airbenders have this? I say it in my video as well. The only reason that I can think of is that the comet is in space, and space is kind of like the sky, so airbenders.
Yeah, maybe, but
no, I don't like that.
I mean, I've had gatherings with people when there's a meteor shower. I've had gatherings with people who wanted to watch that, and that's all fun and stuff.
Yeah, but like your entire culture from all over the world, people who are usually like a nomadic people gathering all in one place for a thing that just happens to supply the thing that's going to wipe them out. Like, that seems a little overly convenient.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. No, I don't have a good answer for that. That's just lazy writing.
Yeah. I do like the idea that Sojin used the misdirection, though, saying that they're going to attack the Earth Kingdom, which potentially, if there gets to be a season 2 of this, potentially that could explain why Ba Sing Se so early on in the war separated itself off from the entire world.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was something I hadn't thought about, but yeah.
That could be a very interesting take on that. I really do hope for a season 2, because a lot of the stuff that we're working with here could have interesting ramifications for future seasons, specifically because they also use a lot of stuff from season 2 and 3.
Yeah. Well, but coming back to the whole air temple thingy, it is
and can fly.
And can fly, yes, indeed.
Kind
for
of.
some fucking reason.
He can fall with style.
Yeah, exactly. That was my that was exactly my thought when I saw that. That's not flying, that's falling in style.
Exactly.
With a bit of airbending cushioning. That was a bit weird, especially as an introduction. You're just like, wait, is he Superman or what?
It's I don't even think that the fact that Aang does what he does is a problem. Later he does a more like air tornado thing where he stays up in the air a little bit longer, which looks a little bit more like flying. I don't think those actions are the problem. I think that animating airbending in live action is a problem.
Oh, absolutely.
because it's just not obvious enough to do a little bit of distortion.
Yeah, it's a bit of turbulent displacement, and that's about it.
Yeah. In
But-
combat, it
but
looks a
what
lot
the
better
hell-
because there's a lot of dust that it gathers with it. So
Yeah, but then the question becomes, what do you do to make that effect viewable? Because making it blue like the cartoon, well, maybe you could do that with condensation, but then also becomes water bending.
I mean, I think you can do it without it becoming water bending, because water bending, like water refracts light. This wouldn't. This would distort it a little bit, admittedly. But if you take
Yeah.
away some of the distortion to separate it from water bending, make it less wavy, so more like straight lines, a lighter kind of blue, which is just more transparent. I think you could make it work with more blue to it.
Yeah, maybe.
I honestly think that both air and water bending just don't work in live action, period. Earth and fire look fine, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I just don't think that water and air work at all. And I don't think you can make them work.
Well, the water bending was fine. most part.
I don't really agree. I think the water bending has some decent moments. I think throughout the entire season, a lot of the water bending action is way too slow, which kind of also kills all of the like pacing of the fight scenes that it's used in, which is quite a lot because book one water.
Uh-huh.
To which I might add, Aang doesn't bend a single drop of water.
Yeah, that's a bit of a thing, but we're still on episode 1. But
We'll get to that. A lot of the water bending early on is Katara just trying to move water around really slowly, which looks a little weird. I can get that.
yeah, but that seems fine. There's just the ball of water that she puts in the air. It's fine. That's as far as within that budget and that time frame. That seems fine.
Yeah, but it still looks a little uncanny to me. And my hope was that throughout the rest of the season, as she gets a little bit more mastery over it, she would faster movements that would look more natural, because water just simply doesn't move that slowly. Water is a pretty fast moving thing overall.
Water's incompressible, so it moves as fast as it needs to.
Exactly. And that was kind of my hope. And to a certain extent, that ended up being true. But in a lot of ways, it's still... I guess it is in order for the people to actually be able to tell what is going on. And maybe we should reserve some of the bending talk for a little bit later when we've gone through some of the growth that our characters have in that. Even toward the end of the season, like a lot of the fight against Master Paku looks pretty good. The fight against Zuko in the North Pole between Katara and Zuko looks very clunky still, because of how slow the movements are, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not as bad as the one adaptation that shall not be named.
Yeah,
in
but
which
that's
in
like
which
a low
they took
bar.
yeah, in which they took like half a minute to bend a pebble.
And 6 people.
And 6 people. Yes, indeed. It's not that bad, but it's still, you're limited by the physicality of actual people and not cartoons.
Yeah.
Which means that it takes a bit longer to do stuff. But
But
this
that is then...
this seems fine for what it is.
But that is
Yeah,
where
it's a bit slow.
more clever camera work comes in. Because, of course, like a real person can't move as fast as an animated character. But you have, like, editors that can help you there.
Yeah, but would you want them to make it like
Like,
a fast and furious fight scene with 9 cuts in 2 seconds?
yes. Because preferably well choreographed fight scenes don't do a lot of cutting. Because you want to see the movements.
Uh-huh.
But that's kind of the issue, is that these fight scenes, I think, necessarily cannot be well choreographed, because for that you need to do stuff. So either you need to like do some real CGI stuff with their movements, you need to do some time remapping on them, or you need to do it through just basic editing trick. Just doing none of them results in what we have here, which I don't think works that well.
Yeah, it's mostly just way too slow.
That is my main issue. If they speed up like 60% of the bending, but like another 20-25%, I think a lot of my issues with the bending disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, same, but I wouldn't want them to do it in editing.
I think that's the only reasonable, like, unless you're replacing your actual characters in fight scenes with CGI replacement, going full Spider-Man.
Yeah, but that might be worse.
But
Yeah, all right.
for
maybe.
that you do need the budget to actually pull that off. Specifically with Spider-Man, it works because a lot of budget and because face.
Yeah, he's in a mask. So.
So yeah, that.
Speaking of bending, getting Aang out of the well, no. First of all, getting Aang into the bubble. Let's get that done first before we get him out.
Yeah, I don't really mind everything leading up to that and getting revealed to be the Avatar, needing to go away to just clear his head instead of running away. I think him running away is a stronger moment for his characterization.
Yeah. Yeah, it sets up the guilt he has of not being there for 100 years a lot better.
Yeah, because he made actively a choice there, right? He actively chose to run away. He didn't actively choose to be away for 100 years. But here it is much more of an accident, which I don't think I love, but I also don't think I really care that much, because the whole guilt that he has about not being around is shoehorned way harder into your face in like every other episode in this entire season than it is originally. So that kind of makes up for it, but on a surface level at least.
Yeah, but that's still yeah, they drop it a lot more often, his guilt and stuff, but because they set it up in a weaker way, that still doesn't work.
Yeah, no,
you might
right.
mention it a bit more, but it still doesn't work.
I guess, yeah. Counterpoint being is that even him running away in the original is him trying to avoid responsibility in the moment, and then he still accidentally gets stuck for 100 years. So like the entire 100 years part of that in either case is an accident, which definitely he didn't meant for to happen. So I think in the grand scheme of things, like, that is the more important part, that he was away for 100 years and not whether or not in that moment he chose to run away or to just step outside for a moment.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I do think that him actively running away works a lot better, but it's also more of like a character theme that comes back a lot in the cartoon version, where during the Storm episode, he also runs away from confrontation. During his training with Toph, when it doesn't go well, he runs away from confrontation, which specifically for earthbending related training then is like the theme of that episode. And after that, he doesn't run away as much anymore.
Well, except when he needs to kill the Fire Lord.
But then he doesn't run away, he runs towards the it fails. At the very end.
Yeah. The whole dilemma, do I kill him, do I don't?
Yeah, but then he still doesn't run away. He still goes in for the fight, thinking, I'll fucking figure something out, and then like a giant-ass lion turtle shows up and apparently gets fixed for him. My God, I hope that's one of the few things about the original series that I hope that they just straight up change, even though it is a massive plot point, because I hate that so much. He doesn't.
Well, maybe he can just split the rock that Ozai is standing on, and then he doesn't murder him, but he falls to his death. But is that murder? Yes, it is.
Maybe, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he can glue band him tight and show him baby pictures, and that will make him turn good again.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to finish this. I don't think they are going to finish this, so I don't think it matters.
I hope at least.
I hope. I really do. But I can see this getting a season 2. I'm having a hard time seeing this getting a season 3.
I am really curious of the numbers right now, but
yeah.
I don't think anything has released yet.
I'm very curious to see what it ends up doing numbers-wise, because it might actually do very well. From what I've seen is a lot of people complaining about it are mostly content creators. People in the comments of those videos are generally pretty positive.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because rage bait works well.
Yeah, exactly.
But people in the comments are like, honest.
Works better. Yeah.
So maybe I'm misjudging it a little bit.
Well, we'll see. Anywho,
That's sad,
we
though.
have a boy in an iceberg. Let's get him out.
that's
So
not
let's
underwater.
Go to the North Pole. That's well,
No,
not
it's not.
100 years later, at least.
Yeah, okay, but like, why was Aang just hanging out above water? Like, what set him free
Free from the water or from the
from the
bubble?
ice? Katara abandoned a boat.
Yeah, which is dumb as fuck.
Sorry, no, that did not happen.
Yeah, at least in the original, that is such an early and powerful demonstration of how powerful Katara is as a waterbender that just in a fit of rage she breaks the whole goddamn iceberg.
Well, what she does.
This is just uncoordinated shit.
The only thing that makes sense to me is that nobody in 100 years has been close to this iceberg, and the reason Aang broke out is because he could sense people nearby. But that also does not add up. If they can just get to the iceberg that easily during a fishing trip one afternoon.
Well, maybe it drifts around.
It seems like in the original he's been underwater for the entire 100 years, so it makes a little bit more sense. Here he's just, maybe he just came back up like a year ago. Who knows? But it feels like we're missing something here. Not to say that again it's bad because it's different, but it just like I need a reason as to why something that important that kickstarts the entire story, why that happens, and I don't really feel like I have a reason at this point, other than that's what the script says.
Yeah. And this is one of the change ain't bad, but this change for the worse is bad. And this is just something that I'm thinking, why would you change? They were having an argument.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even.
Why would you change it?
It's not even the fact that they're like, we want to make soccer less sexist, which I suppose we'll get to in episode 2 a lot. But
Oh yeah.
I hate the reasoning. I don't hate the way they did it. But as you say, they're having an argument in this episode, even without him being a sexist piece of shit. So they could have just had the same scene, more or less, without Katara literally just shouting that he's a sexist piece of shit and just saying that he's annoying and he doesn't treat her like an adult, and which she's not, by the way. And that causing her to like lash out in that way. That would have still worked without like Sokka being like, oh, but you can't do anything because you're a girl.
Even just having her, they are having an argument and just having her say like, shut the fuck up for like 2 seconds, and then with her arms waving around, and then the whole thing breaks.
That would have worked. So yeah, that's not great. And then he wakes up and it feels like, oh yeah, we're watching a Netflix show, right? He's like all imposing Avatar state, and the way he just like slides down. I did laugh, I'm going to be honest. That was kind of funny, but it's also very Netflix funny, if you know what I mean.
It's a bit slapped.
Which I didn't mind that, but it did feel a little out of place. But that's mostly maybe because I was already annoyed at the previous scene.
Yeah.
Or the first part of that scene.
Yeah.
But you know, all that stuff brings us to something quite important. Zuko.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we have a big old blue laser in the sky.
Exactly. Big old blue laser in the sky, and we've got a very angry boy.
Also, what we don't have is a Fire Nation flare in the sky. But
yeah, but
shit,
who cares?
That whole ship is just like, oh yeah, that's there. And are we going to do anything with it? No, it's just a place to hang out.
Yeah.
Just, my people died here, and this is the thing that brought the killers here. It's a quiet place. I like to sit here. What you what now?
Yeah, but she's like 2 generations removed from that, and the only person alive that really like experienced.
No, she's not.
Yeah,
she saw her mom die.
Not from that ship. That ship's been there.
Yeah, true.
Way before any of that shit.
Yeah.
Like the only person who was alive during those raids initially, like what is it, 60 years ago by the timeline of the original show, was her grandmother. So I can see Gran not being a huge fan of the idea that Katara goes there, and she goes there in secret.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I as a kid I hung around in old German bunkers, so
it feels like a pretty
kind of the same.
feels pretty reasonable to me for her to hang out there. Also because she wants to somewhere in secret. It's a sheltered place. Practice waterbending. I honestly don't think that's a big issue. The Fire Nation's flare not going off, I also don't really care about. Honestly, like the Fire Nation's flare in the original, to me, very much feels like something to connect episode 1 to episode 2.
And also just something to have Aang to blame that Zuko shows up.
Yeah, true. But
there's also the blue laser in the sky.
But he didn't willingly do that.
Yeah, exactly.
It gives you a little bit more chance to side with Sokka in the original because, like, yeah, you were told not to go in there, and then you went in there, and then you fucked up. So that's there, but I don't really miss that. And it gives everything just a little bit more room to breathe in this, honestly, which it needs because there's a lot of extra stuff stuffed into. Like, this is about a 45-minute episode, while the original two-parter was 44 minutes. And we have a lot of, like, flashback stuff happening here as well. And some Southern Air Temple stuff at the very end. So this episode has a breakneck speed. So taking some stuff out, probably a good thing. So, Zuko.
Yeah, probably the best casting. Well, the combination Zuko and Iroh, probably the best casting in the whole thing.
Yeah, probably. I like Aang as well.
I honestly, I was I kind of forgot who did the voice of Zuko, and I was like, did they just original?
He sounds a lot alike,
but he sounds so much alike. It's not Dante Bosco, and when I looked it up, I was like, oh, fucking course, it's this guy.
Yeah.
But damn,
he sounds a lot alike. Well enough anyway. And this is nitpicky. His face is a little too round. It makes him look a little too cute.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But it's also like not actually a problem.
Nah.
I think he's very well cast. I like Iroh's casting a lot as well. I like Iroh's characterization in this generally, which we'll get to in a moment.
He's a lot less of a dumb fat ass tea loving dipshit in the first season that he is in the original.
The thing is, Iroh is an actual character in this first season, except for the points where he's a caricature of his original character.
Yeah.
When he goes like, in Pai Sho, like that feels forced and like not actually in keeping with the personality that they set up in this show.
Yeah.
But aside from that, he gets a lot more personality and just a lot more screen time in general in this. And I like that because I like Iroh. I really do. Still kind of just once instead of fucking Kyoshi and Yang Chen. And I think we're getting over to Roku novels as well. Fucking give me young Iroh novels. I want that shit.
I want
Iroh committing war crimes. That's what I want.
Give me the siege of Ba Sing Se.
Yeah.
Novel, whatever.
Let us see how he went to go meet the dragons, even though the timing of that doesn't make sense even in the original canon.
It's fine.
It's fine, but let us like experience that. I really want more Iroh, and this kind of gives me that. So it's a reason to like this show.
And again, fucking great casting.
Yeah, amazing. His mustache freaks me the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, it is actually just a reverse Hitler stash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's everywhere except for there, yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird.
But I forgot his name. The voting bending master in the north. Paku also has that.
Yeah, but he's got like more of like a goatee version of that. Iroh has like the full big mustache and beard version of it, which it looks weird. I don't know if giving him the full mustache would have looked better. I don't know what the reasoning for this. There might be like a cultural reason because that might have just been how certain cultures like styled facial hair.
Maybe, I know.
I am totally ignorant of it. If that is the case, I'm assuming it has to be something like that because this has to be based on something. This is not something that an art director was like, yeah, this looks good.
Yeah, I fucking hope not.
And if it was, I hope they were fired. Because it does not look great.
Yeah.
But that's again a very minor nitpick on a character that I otherwise, for like 95% of the time, really like, as well as the introduction for both of them. I like, and this is not a change, this is an addition. For the most part, changes are kind of 50-50 for me in this show. Almost everything that it adds, I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in this scene, Iroh says maybe the throne isn't everything, and Zuko's like, maybe not for you, but it is for me, which is just a fucking amazing, like, 2 lines. It's just 2 lines. And it immediately gives both of them so much more character.
Yep.
Than, I need to restore my honor. About which?
He didn't say it.
The entire
He
season,
hasn't-
the word
he
honor
hasn't
was
said it.
used 0 times in this script.
But how? What about his honor?
Destiny. It was used, not by Zuko.
Huh?
I think Zhao uses Destiny once.
They are doing the same thing as they did with Loki, where everyone was waiting for Owen Wilson to say, wow.
Yeah.
And just keep them waiting.
That's pretty much it, isn't it? Yeah, no, you're entirely right. The same thing as with Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, if they're going to get to a season 3, in the very last episode,
Iroh
Zuko is gonna look at Aang and say, I think I got my honor back, and everybody's gonna freak the fuck out.
But that's again, if that's the case, this is written for people who've seen the original show, because in the original show, Zuko never shuts up about his honor, and we get that moment, and it is actually deserved, because Iroh says, the new Fire Lord needs to be somebody with unquestionable honor, and then looks at Zuko. And, like, everybody watching that throughout the entire world at that point just breaks down crying at the same time. If you don't have Zuko obsessed with his honor throughout the entire first season, after this he's going to be a refugee, which I suppose you can bring it up in season 2 and it still would naturally play into it. But they really, if they do a season 2, they need to start implementing that honor thing, because otherwise there's not going to be a payoff there. Which is fine if they're just not doing the honor thing, but I don't know. At that point, I don't know if you've got to the review yet where I say this. I think I've found the line where I'm bothered by changes and where I'm not bothered by changes. When events or the order of events change, I don't mind. It is when they fundamentally change characters or world building where I get bothered.
Yeah.
And for Zuko, not being obsessed with his honor does both. Because Zuno, different series. Zuko specifically is obsessed with his honor, but also Fire Nation culture in general.
Yeah.
And that is me comparing it to the original. I am aware. I kind of feel like that is valid.
Yeah. And that also comes back to what I would have liked to see with this whole series. In my opinion, they just shouldn't have done the whole retelling of the original series. Just do something different within this world. Keep the world building.
Yeah.
Keep all the things that happened in the original and just do something else, because that just avoids all the but in the original.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if honestly, I'm going to be real with you. If this team did something that they didn't have source material for, I feel like it would have been real fucked. Because quite often, I want to say very often, I don't think that's fair. It's quite regularly, let's say that, I feel like they simply do not understand the reasoning and meaning behind decisions in the original when adapting it. So if they didn't even have the source material to unknowingly copy and had to make something entirely original, I feel like they wouldn't have figured out the world building all that well.
Yeah, then they shouldn't have fired the original creators.
Oh, they left willingly.
Well,
after they didn't get their say in, presumably. No, entirely agree with that point. But yeah, no. Zuko, though, so far on point. They fuck him up later, but so far on point.
Anywho, we're almost an hour in and we're still not out of episode 1, so let's get a fucking move on.
But we're talking a lot about like later stuff, which we can breeze by later. Yeah, we have the most cringy exposition scene in the world.
I heard you say that in the episode by episode thing, and For me, it wasn't cringe. For me, it was, yeah, it's a bit shoehorned in, and also shows very much that this whole thing is made for people who know the source material. But for me, that was very much a goosebump moment, which, yeah, a bit shoehorned, but it good enough.
I think they could have written that in a little bit more naturally. I think just skipping it altogether, like I think I initially suggested in that video, would be a little bit drastic. I think you can make it work if you just take out the her standing up, turning around and looking at the print of the four nations and saying earth, water,
Yeah.
fire, air, long ago. If you take that out and you just have her still sit down and look directly at Aang, saying 100 years ago the Fire Nation attacked, or even long ago the Fire Nation attacked, and you can pretty much have it word for word there, and then end with, but when the world needed him most, he vanished, and then shot off Aang.
Yeah.
I think that would have worked well enough. Just taking out like
The whole-
4 or 5 words there would have made it a lot less forced, in my opinion.
Yeah, the whole water, earth. Yeah, that kind of ruins it. If she would have just been like everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked, it would have had the same impact without the cringe.
I think, personally, I would have wanted a slightly modified speech where she still has everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked, and when the world needed him most, he vanished. Like, that last line definitely needs to be in there, and I am happy that it is in. I'm just not happy that by the time we get to it, I am very annoyed.
Yeah. For me, it was less of a problem, but it is a bit shoehorned.
But I also understand why they did it. I think it's a little bit shoehorned in there, but I also don't think it's the biggest deal, because it's like a 1 minute scene, and then it's okay. It's just in an episode that was already a little bit messy. It made it feel a lot longer as well, specifically because the start of that little monologue is the part where I cringe. And then it just feels like it keeps going and going and going and going and going. If that thought wasn't there, I think that feeling doesn't immediately pop up, at least for me. And makes the rest of it a lot easier to swallow. Even if it is still pretty shoehorned in. It's just the writing was...
And the whole scenery around it, having her standing up and staring at the banner.
Yeah, but that actress in general was kind of shit to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, all the younger actors you can kind of excuse him, especially the actor for Aang. He's doing fine, but sometimes it's like, hello, I'm acting.
Yeah.
And that's fine. He's a kid, but this is literally a very old lady, and would have guessed she can act by now, but no, apparently not.
Yeah, no, her actress was very bad, which also makes sense because you're not going to get like... How many actresses are there of that age that you're going to cast for such a small role?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, fair enough.
Makes sense, doesn't mean that it's not really annoying.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about anything else in the south, or are we going to go to the temple?
Well, we have the whole confrontation with Zuko and Aang and the attack on the village, which was fine. I having Sokka fight Zuko a bit more was fun, but also the fact that he thinks he's a big old warrior, and then in the original is literally bonked aside. Also sets him up for the whole arc of him being a worthless fighter, worthless warrior, I should say.
Yeah, that's sad.
It still works, but the whole bonk was just more fun.
It was more fun. I also think that it was very cartoony the way they did it there. They could have made it like a little bit more subtle and still work here. He still doesn't land a single hit on Zuko.
Yeah, true.
So
and it makes him a bit more, and that's sort of a problem overall for me. It makes him and the whole situation a bit more adult, and which they're not, and that's kind of a thing throughout this whole series, is that where's the fun? Where's the kids just having fun. Aang is 12, Sokka is like 17, and Katara 15, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Where's the fun? Where's Aang just being a kid? There's a few scenes in the next episode on Kyoshi where they did the whole air scooter into the statue thing,
Which was fun.
which was good reference and kind of aside, and that's how we like to see references.
And then he goes to play tag with the other kids, which is fun. But then they literally have to say the dialogue that, hey, it's nice to see him being a kid. Like, just shut up, Katara.
Exactly. You've known him for like 5 days. Shut up.
We are thinking this, all of us, after like 20 years of being into this shit. You shut your mouth. No, I do partly agree. I also think that like a lot of that, him just being a kid, was in things that can be considered filler episodes, which I don't think Avatar has any filler episodes that are not greatified. But things like him being worried about the fortune teller in season 1, and or not the fortune teller, but like Katara and with the fortune teller, like that's much more like childish plot. Those kind of episodes work in a television series, not in like and that's why I really, really hate it when people call Disney Plus and Netflix shows television, because it's fucking not. Television is something that you can zap into. Any random episode needs to have a certain amount of like setup, delivery, need to make sense in and of itself. Very rarely do you tune into an actual television series, which is telling a full story. Avatar was very singular in that at a time.
And then still, the way I first watched it was
very disjointed, probably.
Absolutely just disjointed. Never actually seeing season 3, because for some fucking reason they just didn't air that at any point.
Yeah, no, the way I experienced season 3's story was through the Nintendo DS game, because they just decided not to air it here for like another year.
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid.
Anywho.
So I think a lot of those side adventures that we're missing out on exist because of the medium that it was, an animated television show, where it would feel really weird if they go like do something else for half an episode while we're effectively watching a 7-hour movie.
Yeah, true.
Or 6.5.
But just have him, because the way he learns a lot of stuff is just by fucking around, seeing what, and finding out.
Yeah.
What happens when you fuck around and you fuck up. And then he fucks up, and then he learns, and then the next time he doesn't fuck up or fucks up less.
Would have been amazing to have that journey with, I don't know, maybe it's waterbending. Maybe we could have had some elements from the waterbending scroll episode where he's better than Katara and they get childish and silly about it. And then
maybe we could have had Aang just actually do some waterbending.
Fucking hell. Speaking of the waterbending scroll, it's just in her bag.
It's just there.
They just give it to her. I
mean,
I get that they didn't want to do the entire episode. I get that.
Yeah, sure. But you can do that entire episode in 10 minutes.
You could have done something with that other than this has been just big chillin' in the water tribe, which has been actively raided for waterbenders.
Yeah.
I don't believe that a waterbending scroll would have.
Maybe, but still, it's just.
But this is
Momo is just a beside a funny character. He's also at various points just a plot device to see, smell, hear things. And here his introduction is like, oh, there's a fuzzy creature, and also oh, a scroll. What the hell?
It's Momo is, you know what Momo is in this show? Momo is God. He's directing the viewer's attention to where it needs to go.
Yeah, true.
And then he even dies and comes back to life at the end. Momo is Jesus.
Yep. All right.
Well, that's been it, folks. Momo is Jesus. Anyway,
if only there was a sign. Cue the light.
Let's talk about that, shall we? Because I hated that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I really did.
Yep.
I don't know if I have anything else to say about it, but it's very dumb that Suki says he can't be the Avatar. That would have been a sign, and like literal skylight from the heavens shines down at that specific point. After he did airbending to begin with, what?
Yeah, but that just everybody thinks that the airbenders are all dead, but maybe there's one family that got away and they've been living.
But that's
they've been hiding
immediately
around.
reaching. It's immediately reaching.
Yeah, but that's less reaching than he's the Avatar.
I don't know. There's been stories about the Airbender genocide and the fact that the Avatar hasn't popped up yet, and that again we're doing this like in the original show. People reach immediately for the last Airbender is the Avatar. I think after 100 years of like legends and stories, that is something that makes sense to immediately jump to that. Immediately jumping to it must be another Avatar. That would have been weird. It must be another airbender, which means that other airbenders survived and some might be just hanging out. And I mean, we get into some Legend of Korra theories there. That might have happened. We don't know. I don't like the writing in that scene, and man, just the fucking light from the sky is
the glowing statues in general, because in the first episode there's also all the small statues from in the boat with Zuko that also light up when he breaks out of the ice.
Oh, that good thing you brought it up. I actually think that is kind of neat. I think that's an improvement, that Zuko has been all over the world finding Avatar related relics which react to anger.
Oh, absolutely. That's pretty cool. But where my issue is the whole light up statues. He has glowing eyes when he's in the Avatar stage. Yeah, sure, fine. And in the original, there's one scene in which there are some glowing statues in a room where there are all the Avatars. Sure, but here's just every time he gets near or does something Avatar related near a statue, they just all light the fuck up.
Well, it's only really this time, isn't it?
No. Also, when he goes to the shrine of Roku, just every time he does something Avatar related, and there's a statue nearby, I think.
Okay, I didn't think Roku and Kuruk also glowed up in the same way.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I just missed that. I do feel like I want to point out that the Avatar Roku statue in the original does have glowing eyes, but it's also like being hit by direct sunlight.
Yeah, so, that's just a reflection thingy.
Well,
but I mean,
I don't think it's a reflection, but I think it feels more reasonable because it is also being hit by light in there.
Yeah, true. Speaking of things I hate, I specifically wrote this down and in the episode 2 notes. But those title cards, man, those are ugly as fuck.
Yeah, again, it feels very Netflix to me.
Yeah.
Which I don't love. Those title cards, sure, they needed to do something, I suppose, for the title cards. I don't know what I would have preferred, to be honest. Because the very like simple parchment-like title cards from the original, I don't think would have worked very well either.
No, but this is parchment, but it's 3D. Wow. Which is it's just lame.
I honestly, if they made the animation in for the title cards for the episode names themselves more than just what is effectively a wipe, I think I would have liked. I think I would have liked it, to be honest. If that was more of like a write-on effect than a wipe, that would have obviously been a lot more work to do. Which for a title card, I guess you don't want to do that. I don't really think stylistically it's that like it's not good. Don't get me wrong. I don't love it, but I also think that I don't know works well enough for being like brush strokes, which is what they're going for. Which is why I think a writing effect would have been much better than just a wiping effect.
Absolutely.
I
mean, it's fine, and I just don't like it.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I'm just, like, when I don't like something, I usually do try to think of, okay, but what would I have preferred instead? And here, I don't really have any ideas. But I'm also, like, very bad at graphic design. So...
Yeah, true.
That's definitely part of the problem for me. So yeah, Sokka, sexist, not sexist. Let's talk about it.
It's fine.
I think they handled it well. I think this
Yeah.
reason that they removed the sexism is fucking stupid.
Yeah, well, we can't have a character arc now. That would be dumb. We just need perfect people to do perfect things.
Yeah, like it was always a character flaw. That was the point of him being sexist. Is a character flaw to overcome. Why remove that because it's not appropriate in this time? No, it wasn't even back then. It's not like fucking what was it, 2006? Sexism
Something
was.
like
It's not 1950. That was the point of it in the original show as well. So I think that's just some bullshit reasoning. I think they did it well enough. I
mean,
think,
especially now we can use that, having people like Andrew Tate around, being all like bring the 1950s back. It would have been to see, especially in this episode, to see Sokka literally and figuratively fall to his knees and be like, "Please teach me how to be a badass girl like you are."
That's sad. I mean, it's not a lesson Sokka learns, but that exact lesson in a much smaller way is something that one of our characters teaches to another character, that being Katara to Paku still. That still happens.
Yeah, but
So I don't really...
that's much less impactful, because the way the original handled it, just him eventually putting on the dress and the makeup and all the things, and being willing to lay down his sexist beliefs to learn from the people he knows are better than him. That was so much more powerful. And the whole thing with Katara teaching Paku, yeah, sure, fine. Having the old guard seeing the flaws in their old ways is also good, but much less impactful, because we all know he's wrong, and we need to see him.
Yeah, but we also
and
all
he
know
needs-
that Sokka is wrong. Like, nobody's
Yeah.
watching the first 3 episodes, I suppose, of the Last Airbender cartoon, and like, yeah, Sokka, you... Well, some people will. Let's be honest.
Yeah, inevitably. But, maybe that's not the right wording, but we are rooting for Sokka, apart from the sexism. And then to see him go through all that, when Paku does it, you're just like, well, he's an asshole. Fuck you. But when Sokka has the same arc, we're rooting for him, and he's actively part of the whole of the good guys. So having him have an actual flaw which he can overcome would be nice.
I agree that flaw, but he still has like that arrogance. It's just not explicitly rooted in sexism. I still feel like implicitly it is.
It's toxic masculinity without the sexism. Sure.
No, but he still offers to train Suki, and I don't know.
Yeah.
That feels still like coming from a place of sexism. Without him literally, like, it can still be sexist without him saying, "I'll train you because you're a girl."
Yeah, in the end, it's the same, or at least close enough. It's just in another way. It's just toned down a bit.
And we do
mostly
miss like the literal scene of him literally getting on his knees and asking, "Can you please teach me?" We do miss out on that, and the replacement scene for that is just the worst.
just them staring awkwardly at each other and being like, "All right, fine, let's do this.
We're in love in slow motion." Fuck off.
It reminded me a lot of the and I think there's a lot of inspiration there. Shang-Chi, the scene between, god damn those names.
Oh yeah,
Between the bad guy and the floating lady.
Yeah, and the airbender.
Yeah.
Yeah, except that scene was shot very well.
Yeah.
And this scene was not.
This was kind of a film student's first year interpretation of that.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely didn't work as well here, which is funny because we've had more time with the character here than we did in Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
No, but I do agree that missing that scene is is a huge loss. What I don't necessarily agree with, and maybe we shouldn't get stuck on that particular point too long, but that at that point in the original series, we're necessarily rooting for Sokka, because it's hard to put myself back into the mindset of watching it for the first time. If I just go through logically through the first 2.5 episodes, I don't know if I would be yet rooting for Sokka. Like, this is one of the episodes that originally makes you endeared to Sokka, and then going forward start liking him. But just based on the first 2 episodes, I don't know if I would like Sokka enough to really like care about rooting for him necessarily.
Yeah, maybe not.
It's hard to transpose myself like 20 years back in the past.
Especially because by the time I saw this episode, I saw a lot of other ones which were a lot further in the series, and the way they aired it over here was just dumb.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably, by the time most people saw this, it would have, like, unless you're watching Nickelodeon religiously and you were there on the original air dates, specifically in America, would have seen this in the context of only the previous 2 episodes.
The first time I saw this in order was when they did the whole watch through events. They did it a few times. They had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the whole thing.
Yeah.
That was the first time I saw this in order. But.
Yeah, I'm thinking when I saw this in order for the first time, it might have been something like that. Likely was just a pirated copy from the internet, to be honest, because...
A privateered copy.
Yeah. Because honestly, at that point, I probably also would have preferred seeing the original dub over the... Admittedly, looking back at it, not too bad localization that we have here.
That was fine.
It's better than the Korra localization, I'll tell you that much. The Korra localization here sucks.
Oh, I never saw that.
I saw like an episode and a half, and then I switched the fuck back to English. It's really bad, comparatively. Anywho, Kyoshi. I don't know if you want to talk any more about Sokka and Suki. I want to talk about Kyoshi.
Yeah, that was fun, seeing her.
She can fucking fly?
And then we've seen Aang do that, so why shouldn't she?
Yeah, but like, we've seen Aang fly in like a massive like elemental sphere of air. She just like rocket boosts off.
Yeah, but is it just airbending, or is it also? I mean, the firebenders can also fly if they really want to. At some point,
there is an argument.
Any elements, if you shoot it hard enough backwards, equal and opposite reaction.
There is maybe an argument to make for a Avatar state's fully realized Avatar to be on par with like Comet boosted normal fire, which can fly.
Yeah, and combine that with some airbending, and there you go.
I think it looked stupid.
Yes.
Plus,
especially she is fucking ginormous, so just have her run and you'll be just as fast.
Also, she shows up, she fucking wrecks Zuko, and Zuko just gets up. I don't know. I don't like the characterization they give Kyoshi here. Like I said in my review, and I've complained to you in private about, I feel like this is Kyoshi as fanfiction writers characterize her, and not Kyoshi as she is in canon, which makes a lot of sense because they're trying to appease the fans, and the fans think that Kyoshi is a heartless killer, which to a certain extent she is, but she has nuance, and that does not exist here.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but then her showing up and not fucking blowing Zuko's face off his or his head off his fucking body. I don't know. It feels like Zuko would have probably just been blown up there.
Yeah, especially because he is specifically hunting the Avatar.
Yeah.
That would solve a lot of problems. We wouldn't have the rest of this series, but they don't know that.
Would have been a fun, like, alternate universe, though, if Zuko died against Kyoshi, and what ends up happening. Fun what if.
Azula wouldn't change and become the firebending master that Aang needs. Besides that would just be a role switch with Azula. Ozai would just be like, well, you're not banished, but you go on the Avatar.
No. Ozai actually likes Azula. Like, Ozai fucking hates Zuko's guts.
Yeah, but maybe, well, maybe not send her
Well-
away, like go deal with the Avatar, but seeing that she is strong enough to actually do it.
She would be sent out in the same way that she originally gets sent out in the original show, which is, hey, everybody else is fucking incompetent, you go do it because you actually like get shit done. Which, to be fair, she actually gets shit done.
No, yeah,
She does conquer Ba Sing Se and fucking murder Aang. So
yeah, true.
points in her direction there. So yeah, Kyoshi, I've bitched about this enough. I don't know if you have anything to say about Kyoshi. I don't like it, but that's also because I really like the Kyoshi books. And I don't think anybody on this fucking staff read those.
No.
So, anybody
Yeah, no.
anybody listening to this, by the way, if you haven't read those books yet, go read them because they're really cool. If you liked the brutality of Sozin setting somebody literally on fire, you're gonna love those books because they get way more brutal with bending than any of the show.
A little point on Kyoshi still, well, tangent to that. The first time we go to the spirit world with Kyoshi, that just felt like the cheapest possible filter, we're spiritual doing something bullshit I've ever seen.
Which is weird because in the other shots, the other scenes where they go actually into the spirit world or even just talk to other avatars, that's not there.
Here it's just some sort of VHS filter, but it's still HD and a blurry vignette thingy.
I don't know. I feel like that was literally just there because Kyoshi is supposed to look massive and Aang is a child, and it looks really weird as is. So they just slapped on fisheye and distortion, and hoped that would kind of sweep that under the rug. It didn't.
No.
That's the only reason I can really think of that filter is there, or maybe it's because it's the first time and he doesn't have that power developed very well yet, but still kind of shitty visualization.
I mean, you could argue that, but then you need to tell the viewer that.
Well, not necessarily tell that. You need to show some progression in that instead of it just disappearing. Like, have Avatar Roku have a little bit of that still there, like a little bit of chromatic aberration. And then when he's talking to Kuruk, then it can be gone. Then you see some progression in.
Yeah, something like that. But now it's just it's here now, and next time it won't be.
Yeah, it's really kind of weird. That said, some of that's still ethereal feeling and things. I don't know exactly what they did, aside from just weird color palette swap. It's still there in the background of when they go into the spirit world, just much less and not on the characters themselves. Which I like that effect in the spirit world itself. It's just very inconsistent on what that effect visually means, other than the fact that it's supposed to look weird. But then
I get it why they did it, just to have a visual distinction between the real world and the spirit world, and that's fine. It's just an ugly implementation of that.
it is, and not consistent.
Yeah.
That's my biggest issue. Even if it is hard to watch, at least if they're consistent, you gotta give them marks for that. But it's not even that.
Yeah, exactly. Anywho, eventually Sokka and Suki are super cute, and when they're done having their argument about who's the bigger warrior, and they're cute. It's fine. It's fun.
I like the thing where I see a lot of people disliking this. I personally like the idea that Sokka takes one of Suki's fans and defends her with
Absolutely.
it. And then Suki gives that fan to Sokka, which never, sadly.
Not yet.
Not yet. I really like that because
Yeah.
I just do.
Yeah, and it shows him learning their way of fighting, which is the whole point of the exercise before that.
Yeah.
And she's helping him, he is helping her. It's not like, I'll show you how to fight with your stuff. They're fighting in unison, and he catches one of the blows for her, and she catches some for him, and it's fun, it's fine.
And I do like the idea that he takes the fan and then she actually gives it to him. And those fans very much seem to be dual weapons.
Yeah.
As in, I don't know if they're based on any real weapons, but they seem to be like a fantasy fight version of dual swords.
Yeah. Yeah.
which giving one of them away to somebody feels like a very significant thing to do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like emotionally, thematically. So I like that. I don't love the fact that they just like started kissing. Personally, like give that a little bit more time to simmer. You've met him like 48 hours ago. Literally the first man you've ever met.
Also, 6 episodes later, you're doing that with someone else, which felt jarring in the original,
I think it works
and is even more.
I think it works a little bit better in one way though, and that is that in this version of events, it's very much Suki chasing Sokka.
Yeah, true.
And it is then Sokka chasing Yue for better reasons than in the original as well.
Yeah.
Like, as much as we're complaining, there's things that this show does better.
Oh, absolutely.
20 years of
Speaking of
hindsight
something,
really
I'm-
helps.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of something, I'm not sure this show does better than the original.
Do tell.
At the end of episode 2, we get to see Ozai.
I'm torn on this. I'm very torn on this. On Ozai in general. Because I think Ozai needed to be changed. Ozai couldn't just be the fucking fantasy mega super Hitler that he is in the original.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he needed to have a little bit more characterization to him. And for that, I think you need to start this early on. Or at least earlier.
Yeah, but earlier could also have been season 2.
Okay, but then you need to decide when to first show him. And in the original, that's a very powerful moment because we don't see him until Zuko sees. That's a very powerful moment. If you're going to take that moment and just move it elsewhere, it needs to still be impactful and have a reason for it being that moment.
Well, we've had events shift around, so you can still have that moment where the first time we see him is the first time Zuko sees him after he's been banished. Shifted around a bit.
Yeah, but that's directly linked to the finale of season 2 where Aang dies. You can't move that around. But
Yeah.
at least I fucking hope they can't. So aside from that, you could maybe show him for the first time together with the introduction of Azula at the end of season 1. That could potentially work.
Yeah.
Speaking of Azula, are we ready to move on to the next episode?
Yeah, we've been going for 1.5 hours, so...
Yeah. Let's go episode 3, because Azula is... Her voice took me so by surprise with her first line. That was such a spot-on voice, where I legitimately thought it was maybe AI replaced. I don't think it is, but that's really good. The rest of Azula in this show, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that whole first thing was that was something we missed in the original, the internal resistance.
Yeah, that's 100%
within
an
the Fire
improvement.
Nation, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Having some internal resistance even after all this time, especially having it be a group of younger people was great.
Even the fact that it is Azula who infiltrated them and lured them back into the castle feels like something that Azula would be like involved in.
Absolutely. That's great. But I'll read you what I wrote down for this.
Please do.
Azula is a fucking child.
Yes.
Yeah, she is, but come on. Yes, she's an actual child.
Her issue
also in the original, but
her issue
she
here
looks a lot more adult, which makes it better. Yeah,
but that goes for the majority of the cast, except for Aang. Everybody looks younger because they are the reasonably correct ages. So I don't think you can really but the only way around that would have been to actually cast somebody that is significantly older than the character, which is also kind of grating.
Yeah, but having Azula then stand over a fucking army at the end of the series that's a fucking 15-year-old child directing an army. Like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah, I don't really think that's a point, to be honest. I think it's more so the fact that she has no sense of a personality other than my dad is acting like I'm a child, which yes, you are.
You are.
but the big issue there is she doesn't really show anything to the contrary, because she is acting like a child. She doesn't just look like a child. I don't mind that. That's pretty good. It's the way she's acting like a child, getting like all worked up about, I'm not a child, I'm like capable. Like, okay, maybe just shut the fuck up and show it.
I'm almost 50, no.
Yeah. Like, it really has that energy. Like, I'm not 14, I'm almost 15. Okay, well, good for fucking you. You're still a child. I don't really know where they're going with Azula in this. It feels like nothing.
It feels like they're kind of keeping true to the original and just setting her up to become absolutely fucking mental.
Yeah,
and just so distraught by the fact that that Zuko at some point comes back and then having not enough admiration from her dad and just daddy issues.
but why was she in the first season?
Yeah.
What does her addition here add other than a little bit of context as to why Zhao of all people got promoted? Because it does explain that.
Which yeah, but wasn't needed because he was the one that was like, hey, someone found the Avatar. You know who it is? It's your son. Hey.
Exactly. Like, Ozai could have made that decision on his own, and it's not even like... It tries to show Azula being, like, manipulative and, like, conniving and stuff like that. But then Ozai just calls her out on it anyway. Like, good. Show that she's, like, mentally ahead of her own father. That would be very cool. But they go out of their way to show that she's not. While I would argue, until she loses her marbles in the original show, she probably, like, could out-politic Ozai.
Yeah.
I think. So that would have been cool, but they kind of fucked it on that, to be honest.
Well, on the other hand, this sets up her whole arc of becoming Fire Lord whilst Ozai becomes Phoenix King, and that just running her absolutely mental. Like, I finally have everything I wanted, and it's nothing now.
Yeah, it does. In this show, it seems like she's having to fight a little bit more for getting the compared to the original. Because in the original, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, we got rid of Zuko. You're going to be Fire Lord now, and it'll be fine. Ozai is definitely keeping his options more open here, which well, we'll get to that in a moment, or in like a while. I think it's more realistic that Ozai would do it. Like, I think it kind of fucks over Zuko's motivation. Want to talk about Omashu instead?
Yeah.
Because fucking hell, this is my favorite episode of the series.
Well, yeah, and also no. Why is everything and everyone in Omashu?
Because it's a big Earth Kingdom city.
Yes.
And everywhere else except Ba Sing Se is not safe.
Well, you could, set up shop in an old air temple, perhaps.
I mean, I think living in Omashu is a more reasonable first step.
Yeah, maybe.
Than going to an all-out temple. I do.
It was just a bit jarring to be like, oh, the Mechanist is here, and oh.
But this is one of
Jet
those
is here,
examples where...
but...
This is one of those examples where I think that this is different, but I don't think that these changes really like impact what any of these people are about.
No, it doesn't change their character or whatever.
It makes the Mechanist a little bit more like, or a little bit less unlikable, I suppose, because he's not destroying the air temple.
True.
That impacts his character to a certain extent. But aside from that, like everything that these people are is intact. It's just within a new context, and I think that these kind of changes are entirely fine.
Yeah.
Did Zuko and Iroh have to be in Omashu? Maybe not. That was a little bit much, but I did like the action scene where Zuko wasn't able to use his firebending. Like that was a creative fight scene.
Absolutely. Also, something in the introduction of Omashu, the first shot you see of Omashu
is very Minas Tirith.
Yeah, and it's also 1-to-1 the depiction in the show, which in the cartoon is fine because you see like 3 or 4 of the delivery system lines, and in the Lost in Detail it's implied that there's more.
Yeah, but here it's
In this case, there is no loss in detail.
Don't get me
and
fucking
you still
started.
only see 3 or 4 of the lines.
Don't get me started on the delivery system in Omashu. I will
know.
never stop.
I know.
I fucking hate that they... This is one of those things where I'm like, you missed the point. You entirely missed the point.
Yeah.
The entire reason the city is shaped the way it is because of the delivery system working the way it does. If these cars can just go up slopes, the entire city would be different. And then it is even a plot point that they use a cart to go up the delivery system. I will refrain from complaining about it more. If you want to hear me bitch about it for like 10 solid minutes, go watch the video on Omashu. Unless you have something to say about that. But I assume that we're pretty much agreed on this. I don't really have
anything to add to that. It's just dumb.
The Mechanist gets a name though.
Yeah.
Which is neat.
Also, referring back to your episode by episode review, can we please get the hashtag the Rock the Boulder going? I really
fucking
need that.
I don't think contractually he can play the Boulder because the Boulder loses and the Rock is not allowed to lose a fight on screen.
Is he?
Yeah.
Isn't that just... I know that's a thing in the Fast and Furious because Dwayne and... what's the other Bolt guy's name?
It's also the superhero that he played a while ago. What was it again? Had that same issue. Black Adam.
Black Adam, that was it, yeah.
Had that same issue. He's not allowed to... Well, maybe he's allowed to, but he doesn't want to lose on-screen fights. I don't know if it's like a him thing or a WWE thing.
I don't think he is... Is he still associated with the WWE?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
So it might just be a him thing.
It's just a throwaway role. Just a 2 minutes being thrown out of the arena, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Please.
I really would like that to be a reality with The Rock playing the Boulder, who is based on The Rock.
Yeah.
That would be just the best. I fear for it that it's not going to happen. My God.
Absolutely not. But
my God, would it be amazing? I don't really know if I have much to say about this app, honest. Like, I've complained a lot about, or pitched a lot about a few things in my episode-by-episode review, but nothing that really impacts the series as a whole. Like, yeah, Pipsqueak and the Duke, that joke falls flat. I don't really care.
Yeah, but it's just because you can't get that ridiculous proportions in a live-action thing.
Yeah, and they couldn't not include it either. So you're kind of stuck between like a boulder and a rock place.
Yeah.
Aside from that, like, as much as I like this episode, there's not that much to say about it in the context of the wider series, I think. I'm looking through my notes anyway.
Well, the one of the good things they did, which was also there in the original and is also... which they've implemented well here, is bad guys aren't just through and through bad unless they're finished. By which I mean Jet helping Katara get over her whole waterbending block shows that even though he is one of the antagonists in this episode, turns out not every bad guy is just through and through bad.
Yeah, and I think Jet has a little bit more of a like slow burn into being a terrorist here. I mean, he's responsible for the bombings from the start, but in the original, when Jet shows up, you're like, oh, I know what you're about.
Yeah.
And in this, I know what he's about because I know who Jet is. Just purely based on what the episode shows me, he seems like a pretty decent guy. Yeah, he says... Pipsqueak knows how to take out the trash, pretty much, which is kind of ominous, but you know, we can shrug that off. And then he actually helps Katara out and stuff like that, and we slowly see how you could get like radicalized into his idealism and whatever. Whereas in the original show, I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I'm with Sokka on this one. What the fuck is wrong with you, Katara? So I like that a lot more. Also, the fact that his plan here is less ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like just bombing parts of the city to try to garner support about, like, against the Fire Nation. Even Zuko being in the city, and I don't love the fact that Zuko is inserted into this episode for the most part. Even Zuko saying, "Father would never approve of this kind of underhanded tactic." You're like, yeah, this is not Fire Nation work.
What do you know? Yeah.
Because it is not Fire Nation work. Also, like, yeah, you're definitely right. Like, Ozai as we know him definitely would.
Just bombing something. I mean, that's kind of what he does as Phoenix King.
He literally tries to burn down...
scorch the earth.
Yeah. But even then, it's not like necessarily like an underhanded tactic. And I do really like the idea that the idea of having honor about things seems to be more prevalent in Fire Nation at large here. Same with, I think it's in the next episode, maybe this episode, when one of Zuko's crew members start gossiping about Zhao. Zuko doesn't like Zhao, but he's still like, hey, that's a superior. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, which is very much a good thing, I think. Having that whole military honor thing, especially for him, his honor. And in that sense, it isn't name dropped, his honor, but it is still there.
Definitely. And I do think that they do that well. And this episode also shows that, hey, the Fire Nation might be a bunch of evil guys, but they still have like their own code of ethics almost, their own ways of doing war. They don't like just sneak into a city and start blowing shit up. They just blow it up from the outside to give people a chance to at least defend themselves. Or get away if they don't want to be involved. Or surrender or whatever.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the Fire Nation was right.
Well, let's move on.
Want to talk about Boomy?
Yeah.
I like Boomy.
Yes.
I think the more jaded Boomy actually kind of works.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I didn't like him very much at first. He just seemed only the chaos and not the wise that the original has. Up until the very last.
I don't think he was chaotic enough.
Yeah, but it just, maybe not chaotic, but it just seemed to be the weird and not the wise.
Yeah.
But all of that up until the very last challenge in which he becomes actually fucking wise, and I fucking love that.
I'm still not entirely sure whether or not he's wise there or just still crazy and suicidal.
Also that, but he's...
Maybe both.
He's fucking 106 years old or something, 112.
He's 112. He's the same age as Aang, so 112.
Yeah. I can see at that point you're fucking done with shit.
Like, you're 12 years of normal life before the war started, and then you spent the next 100 years waiting for someone you knew to show the fuck back up and fix this shit, and he just didn't until 100 years later. I totally buy him getting, like, jaded toward the world and Aang, and...
Absolutely.
And that is another one of those things where it changes, right? Because originally we don't know that this is Boomy until the very end. Well, a savvy viewer knows this probably like 20% into the episode, but we don't get it confirmed until the twist at the end. Since they are aware that most people are going to know that twist, they don't save it for the end. They immediately just throw it out there, giving the opportunity to show this more. And I think that's another one of the things. So, yes, this was a change, but I actually think that this is a clever change, which uses this opportunity very well.
Not just a clever change, but a necessary change, especially because everybody knows who it is.
Yeah.
So having that be a big reveal at the end just doesn't work.
That said, aside from the, hey, you gotta kill somebody here, either yourself or me, twist in the fight scene, the other trials that he puts up for Aang are just bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's no lesson to be gained from them. They're not really, and they're very lazy.
Yeah. Also, I missed Mr. Fluffy.
Flopsy. Flopsy was gone.
Flopsy.
But there were Flopsy statues.
Yeah, I saw those, but I just wanted to see Flopsy. Come on.
I don't think the CGI budget allowed for Flopsy or the Unagi, for that matter, actually.
I mean, the Unagi I can get around, especially with the water physics and all that shit. Even though they should have that down with the whole water bending thing, but still having a whole ocean to do in physics and stuff is a lot of work. But Flopsy compared to either Appa or the Badger moles should be fine.
It feels like that would be from like the hair the hair physics on that probably would be relatively...
We have Appa.
Yeah, but Appa has a pretty, like, simple shape, if you think about it.
Not more or less complicated than basically a giant rabbit.
I mean,
Polar
you have
bear.
the... now, I do think that the design for the giant rabbit dude is a bit more complicated, because you've got those ears, which themselves probably would have to be simulated, and then the hairs on that have to be simulated.
Yeah.
Which probably is a lot more annoying to deal with. And in general, like, Appa isn't actually that animated. He just kind of, like, moves through
Floats
the air and moves his tail around a little bit and his head sometimes.
Yeah, true.
Having an actual, like, ground animal, it's probably the reason that Momo isn't in a lot of shots.
Yeah.
So I can see why they didn't do it. I would have liked to see it, don't get me wrong. I would have liked to see the Unagi as well. Between the two of them, I actually think that Flopsy probably would have been a more difficult one, depending on how much water physics they need to do. Maybe we'll see him in the future. He's at least, like, he exists in the world because we had the statues, but it feels like it's just gonna be the statues.
Yeah.
The moment we've all been waiting for. The secret tunnel.
Cabbages.
Oh, cabbages. Yeah, that was last episode. I entirely forgot about that. That's actually
Yeah,
the original
didn't see
voice actor. You know that?
I didn't know that.
I of course, as everybody else, I love the fact that he's in there. The fact that he got, like, an entire, like, zoom out shot, dramatic pause in the action. I don't know, man.
Well, what I did like is the fact that I think 2 or 3 times before that in the episode he
Almost
doesn't get to say his thing, and then at the end he gets his giant scream. It was fun.
You know, when you put it like that, that actually makes a lot more sense. That's fair. Because you are getting, like, very teased, like, 3 times. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it. They're doing, like, a soft reference to it. And then they go, like, full, like, balls deep.
Oh my god, yes. Fucking awesome.
With that view on things, I actually can excuse it a little bit better. And it's not like the actual fight scene between Aang and Zuko really continues from there anyway, so it doesn't even break up the act.
Yeah.
So that's... But I want to talk about the secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
Because I like seeing the hippies. I do,
Yeah.
of course.
I also very much liked them not going into the tunnel.
I also like that, like, they're goners. They're not coming out. I like that as well. Their whole characterization, even though they're in an entirely different scene, with entirely different context, is so on point, and I'm so happy. Like, why are you guys here? Well, we need to find the secret tunnel. Why are you here? Acoustics. Which is just, yes, they would be there for that reason.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad that we didn't get, like, an extended version of the song or something like that. That would have been nice.
I was and I'm checking this right now. I was second guessing myself. Is that the main hippie dude? Is that Dante Basco? But he isn't. But that
would have been weird.
he fucking looks like it. I was second guessing myself. That's not him, right? Nah, but would it be fun? I'm waiting for him to show up somewhere in the background and yell something about honor. But
I'm thinking, like, if any of the original cast comes back, in what way would that make sense? Because what I don't want is a Legend of Korra General Iroh moment where you're like, oh, that's like exactly Zuko's voice going out of a different person.
Yeah.
That was really weird. Especially since then he comes back in, like, season 2 again, and you're still like, that's still weird.
Yep.
It's still really, really weird.
Just having Dante at some point yelling something in the background about honor or something.
You know what I want? Is the voice actress for Toph being a melon saleswoman somewhere in the background.
I'm Melanor.
Exactly. So, Secret Tunnel. Aang isn't there. It's familiar love. What do we feel about that?
It's fine. The whole thing with Aang and Katara was a bit weird at that point. Yeah, there's chemistry there, and
I think in the cartoon they got away with it. But if you have these two actors potentially, like, maybe kiss or not kiss, that would be really weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I do think or hope that, like, those romance elements still do come up in later seasons once, like, the actor for Aang has had a growth spurt.
Well, they've been hinting sort of at it. It would be weird if they didn't.
Yeah, that would be like entirely weird. But I know a lot of people who would be very happy with the idea that Katara could then end up with Zuko. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They're not Fuck, I hope they're not doing that.
He's got his own emo girlfriend.
Yeah. I never got the appeal of Zuko and Katara. Like that's like that borders on problematic, to be honest.
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
Oh yeah, talking about people fucking, Oma and Shu are now gay. Just want to point that out again.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't care.
At first I was a little annoyed at it, because it felt like Netflix's gay quota needed to be met, which it still does, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I read another opinion on this which nuanced it a little bit for me, and that is that them being gay adds to the whole forbidden love aspect of it.
Yeah, because in the original it's just like two fighting tribes, right?
Yeah, it still is, but now it's two fighting tribes and they're lesbians.
Yeah.
So I've actually come around to that a little bit. It does add something to make them gay.
Also, it's such a small thing that I didn't even catch it.
Even that. There you go.
I don't know where my head was, but it was the fact that you pointed it out. I was like, wait, really? Oh.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the only way that you can figure it out is because they use she pronouns for both of the characters 3 sentences apart. So you need to be kind of tuned in to even make that connection. So in that way, it still feels very like Nickelodeon-ish.
Yeah.
It feels very, we can't have lesbians, so let's just have our 2 main characters walk hand in hand into a spirit portal at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And then, like, half a year later, release a comic where they do actually make out, because now we're not on television anymore. Can you tell I'm still salty about that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's more I'm salty about that series, but let's not get into that.
Yeah. I like Korra. I just don't like parts of Korra.
Yeah, like season 2.
Yeah. We can do a Korra video at some other time. Let's move on with the rest of this episode, because
we have a violin version of Leaves on the Vine, and I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah, no, that actually hit me real hard.
Fuck.
That is... I said it in my video about this. That scene kind of made me think that we're not going to get a Tales of Ba Sing Se episode, because you can't do this twice.
Yeah, that would be a fucking shame, though.
It would be. But also, wouldn't it feel a little bit cheap to have this pretty much also tell our entire backstory that we partly get from Tales of Ba Sing Se, and the emotional load as well? Exactly like the function of that episode. Well, that portion of that episode.
True, but assuming we're still going to Ba Sing Se, which if we get season 2, I'm fucking hope so.
Yeah, well, better.
You can still do that, and with us already having the context, you don't have to tell the whole story, but you can still have the emotional moment of Iroh sitting at the tree and singing the song, the whole shebang. Just don't have to give the whole context then.
Yeah, but then what does it accomplish aside from, hey, that was the Captain America meme, right? I understand that reference. Like,
not only that, but it's also just
you need
closure for Iroh.
To some extent it is. But you need the entire section of the story of Iroh where he's like out helping other people, and then because that then informs the line, only if I could have helped you. When he sets down the portrait of his son.
Yeah, you can't. Let's put it this way: you can't put it. You can't do it the way they did it in the original. But there are, as we've seen in this season, plenty of ways to do it differently and still have it impact.
Yeah, certainly. But
there.
Now they've done it in this show.
Yeah, but there's no closure there. It's a lot of pain that is still there. Having him in Ba Sing Se sitting down, and you don't have to do the whole thing just to have the music there, not even him singing the song, but you can still have that moment of closure there.
I don't know, maybe to a certain extent, but I feel like the additions that this season's have had, plus the addition of Iroh saying things like I owe Zuko much more than you could ever understand, which was that moment of kindness and humanity that he showed him in such an important moment. I mean, it doesn't give us a scene where we get to experience closure with Iroh, but it does indicate that like Iroh is some sort of closure about that. And I just don't really think that at this point a Tales of Ba Sing Se, at least like the Iroh portion, there's a lot of other stuff in the Tales of Ba Sing Se that is good to have still. So they could just do an episode like that. They probably wouldn't because, again, different format.
Yeah, and Tales of Ba Sing Se was a well executed, but it definitely was just a filler episode.
For the most part, yeah. And I don't really know how they would incorporate that to begin with the episodes being twice as long indeed.
Yeah, it's another format they can utilize in this.
So maybe they can remove everything else and still incorporate the Iroh bit of it, like Iroh goes to that hill when Zuko goes on his date or something.
Yeah, something like that.
They could do something like that where he's happy to have Zuko living a happy life in the city that his son died in, where he would have liked his son to have a life like. They can still do something like that, I suppose. I'll have to see it before I can cast a good judgment on it. I'm not stoked on the idea of them milking this Iroh thing too much. I think that takes away the impact of it if they do it again.
Well, if they do it now, they have done it now, and then in season 2, making that, giving him that closure, and then it's done. That would be fine.
Yeah, but you also need to do that within an episode, and you need to build toward that inside the episode, not only over the series or the season as a whole. And that would just be rethreading a lot of things that the episodes that we've had in this season already do. Like from a series-wide perspective, I don't doubt that would work, but like within the episode itself, it also needs to have something working toward that.
Yeah, but that you can do that with what you just said, having Zuko working towards a good life and settling down in Ba Sing Se, and then him being him going to the tree, to the hill, being like, if only I could have done that for you. That you could work that into it.
Oh no, there's definitely ways you could work that into an episode. I just don't trust the creators of this show to do that.
Well, we'll see.
Another thing, actually, that I learned today is that the portrait that Iroh is singing to is apparently based on a image of the voice actor of Iroh, Marco, when he was young. So that scene is literally Iroh singing to a portrait of his younger self, knowing, the voice actor, knowing that at that point, while he's recording those lines, he is dying of cancer.
Dang you.
That makes that scene, like, instantly even 10 times more sad.
I'm not crying, you're crying. It's fine.
I learned that today, so that's a non-fun little thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of Iroh, I do really like the fact that Iroh is just not very stoked on Earthbenders in this episode. He's like, Earthbenders are ruthless. Like, yeah, you would know.
Yeah.
But other than that, we talked a lot about a lot of the points that I already have written down about. I really, really do like the scene that, in my opinion, probably replaces the tale of Iroh, but maybe it won't. With Zuko, it's such a good moment because it's a good moment for Iroh, but also a good moment for Zuko. And this show does that very well, making moments that are good for both of those characters. Because you can see it means a lot to Iroh, but it's also a very important moment for Zuko to be himself rather than the Prince of the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
Which is eventually, like, doing that is eventually what's gonna get him banished. Not this exact action, but him being true to himself instead of acting like the Prince of the Fire Nation. But that's more of an episode 6 kind of thing.
Anyway, episode 5.
Episode 5.
We've been recording for 2 hours and we're about halfway.
Yay!
Let's go.
And episode 6 is probably going to be pretty long.
Mm-hmm.
So, this episode though, fucking nothing happens. Well,
yeah.
Nothing that we haven't talked about yet, because like a lot of the things that we talked about in episode 4 is the Iroh stuff, which is actually what happens in this episode.
Yeah.
So most of this is Spirit World stuff, which I'm not a fan of.
Eh,
Wan Chi-tong, perfect.
what the fuck is he doing here?
What the fuck is he doing here? That's a good question. I don't really care. He can just hang out there and also have a library. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah, sure.
The one thing about the spirits in Avatar, what I do like is usually they have kind of a vibe of, hey, if you don't bother me, I don't bother you.
Yeah.
Wan Chi-tong does that perfectly. He's like, I'm not going to attack you. Why would I attack you? Other spirits here might be a little bit dangerous. Look out for your two human friends. That's probably, they're in danger. But I don't really mind. The fact that only Aang can understand spirits is neat,
Sure.
I guess. Hey Boy gets fucking ignored. But what they did to Ko, he's just evil.
Yeah.
He's
Visually,
literally
he's cool.
He's literally explained to be a predatory spirit. I'm like, that's not how spirit works. That's not how that works at all. Not even to mention the fact that the spirit world is not heaven.
Yeah.
I think that's the next episode. I don't care. The spirit world is not heaven. Gyatso is not in the spirit world. I'm sorry.
You can kind of explain it because Iroh is also in the spirit world at some point.
Yeah, but Iroh didn't get fucking torched.
Yeah. With his skeleton lying around and...
Like, what is heavily implied in Korra is that Iroh just meditated into the spirit world and then his body died because he never got back into it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like on the edge for me as well, to be honest. I like having Iroh in there, and it's Iroh, so I accept it. But the idea that all the human spirits pass through the spirit world on their way to, like, enlightenment, as they call it, the afterlife, and they can just stick around there, that doesn't sit entirely right with me, personally.
Yeah, me neither.
Combined with the fact that they just made Ko evil, which I'm also like, I get it, but this is another one of those things where I'm like, I can see what the original creators left, because the people working on this gets the original material well enough to make a somewhat right-feeling adaptation, but once you actually start looking into a lot of stuff that they do here, like the spirits, and again, next episode, I'm gonna go fucking crazy about Zuko and Ozai. It feels like they just fundamentally don't or misunderstand a lot of aspects about this world and these characters.
Yeah, they just seem to miss the point.
Yeah.
I know I didn't mind Ko that much. Visually, he's fucking awesome.
I don't like the fact that his little, like, default face, the mask face, and oh man, there's gonna be a lot of people comment for me on this one probably, but I don't like the fact that it looked like a practical effect, because it is way too stiff. I would have much preferred that to be CGI.
Yeah, to just have him... Yeah, now you can have him emote a bit more, and... What I didn't like about Ko is the whole thing... what makes him interesting is the whole fact that if you don't show emotion, he will leave you alone, and then if you're scared or whatever, or sad, or I don't give a fuck if you show emotion, then he'll take your face. And
Yeah.
it's somewhat implied here, but
Except that Aang
Not
definitely
really.
looks, like, surprised when he first shows up.
yeah.
The whole point of Ko is that he is, like, a representation of loss of individuality.
Yeah.
He just eats people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like it. I really don't.
And then he's satisfied with the statue of his mother, and then it's all fine.
Yeah, which kind of, like, does imply that there's, like, some underlying motivation still there, but, like, you need to have
Sure, but
read the Surge comics to even understand that.
And it makes it feel like a
It makes it feel like
this
Azula.
whole- also that, but this whole arc with Ko just makes it feel like a fetch quest.
Which it is.
Just find out the thing you need to get, then get the thing and free your friends.
This whole bit is paced really weirdly as well, because we have
Yeah.
a very big portion of this episode, and let's just talk about these two episodes as one, because let's be honest, they are.
Yeah.
A very big portion of episode 5 is spent going into the spirit world and getting captured, and the memories are really neat, like seeing Sokka being being a disappointment to his dad, seeing Katara reliving her mother being burned alive, for which she was present in this version of events, I might add, making that
Which
10 times more horrifying.
Oh, absolutely. Which is also fun, like, fun. a bit weird that it shows your most traumatic memory, and for Katara that seems logical, especially the fact that she's there.
And for Sokka,
And for Sokka, his mother, nah. The fact I couldn't steer a boat about, that was very traumatic. Like, what? You would think that for Sokka, that's also his most traumatic experience, right?
maybe,
Losing your
but
mom and having your whole village burned to the fucking ground.
but I feel like what it maybe more so does is it prides on the memories and emotions that you most linger on.
Yeah, maybe.
And I don't feel like, even in the original show, I don't really feel like Sokka lingers on his mother's death. I mean, for fuck's sake, we have that entire conversation, which is real deep, where Sokka's like, I don't even remember her face anymore. Like,
Yeah,
when I think
true.
about my mom, I see Katara.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up on so many levels. So I kind of feel like he's definitely dealt more healthily with that loss to begin with. And this also ties into another thing which this show seems to do, and that is set up a character arc where Sokka doesn't need to be a warrior, and he can be like an engineer, which
Or just a leader or something.
yeah, but in order to be a leader, like that still counts as being a warrior, right?
In this world, maybe.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I don't know how that works in real world militaries. Do you just get like politicians as generals? Because I feel like should just also be people who like risen through the military itself, right? Not just politicians.
No, you can. Well, you can't apply to be a general. You can apply to be a lower ranking official, but you still have to do all the things that a normal soldier needs to do, because when push comes to shove, you also need to fire a gun and need to be able to fire a gun and dodge bullets from the other side.
I'm telling you, when you're ready, you won't have to
Yeah.
dodge bullets. That is. Entirely different reference. I don't really know where they're going with that because it feels like they bring it up like 3 times that Sokka's not a good warrior and he doesn't need to be. And I'm like, yes, he does.
Yeah. And well, he's a warrior in his own way, which is the whole point of the apprenticeship with the sword master in the Fire Nation.
Maybe that's what the world into words is like. Even though the
Yeah.
world says you're not fit for a certain role, you can find your own creative like angle to it.
I hope that's what they're going for, because if it is indeed what you're saying, like you don't need to be a warrior, you can be an engineer, you can be a math nerd. Sure, you can, and that's fine if you want to, but that's not his character.
No, and I already have a little bit of beef with people who are like, Sokka invented whole air balloons and submarines, and no, he
No,
did
he
not.
He helped he helped develop them. Sure.
He had one idea.
Yeah.
Even in this show, Sokka at some point said about a whole air balloon, I helped design them. No, you really didn't.
Well,
you helped fix
in
a
the
problem.
in the same sense that we helped make a movie over the last few years.
yeah. Tangentially related because we happen to be in the same room at some point.
Exactly.
And that's how much Sokka really does for that airship. And he says, I helped design it. I'm like, no, you did not.
He helped fix a fatal flaw. So
Yeah, but this kind of comes back to the Kyoshi thing as well, right? Is because a lot of the fan base is convinced that Sokka is like a genius engineer waiting to happen, because they apparently didn't watch the actual. The same thing
some
with
good ideas from time to time.
Yeah, same with like the Kyoshi characterization. I feel like they went into like a TikTok comment section and used that as notes for their writing for Kyoshi and Sokka, at least at these points. So I don't love that either. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the spirit world and flashbacks. So
Yeah. I hate the fact that Aang is alone on he is alone in the original series on Roku's island.
I hate the fact that he flies there on his glider.
Yeah, that just seems like just casual.
They
doing a few 100 miles on his glider.
They just exited Omashu. I know that I have a unreasonable like accurate map of the Avatar world in my mind 24/7. But just do me a favor, everybody watching this, you included, try to picture the Avatar world map. Try to picture where Omashu is. Now, try to picture where the Fire Nation is.
I mean, I have a reasonable understanding of the map, but
Omashu is
where
pretty
Omashu
much
exactly is?
Omashu is pretty much, if you have Kyoshi Island, you go up north, the first bit of landmass, going a little bit inland, that's where Omashu is. So it's like from the middle of the map,
Where's Kyoshi Island?
near the South
there
Pole.
And,
From the middle of the map to the south, it's about like 30. It's about halfway there, so it's about a quarter of the way up from the south to the north, and then a fair bit to the like 10 to 20% from the. What I'm saying is, it's not that different. It's not that different of a distance from Omashu to the Fire Nation as it would be from Omashu to the fucking North Pole. Just triangulation. So what you're saying is that Aang could have got on his glider and flown to the North Pole from there. Because I think not in one night. I think not, man. That's not happening.
yeah.
I'm nitpicking. That is ridiculous attention to detail that I don't expect a show to follow. It's a miracle that for the most part the actual animated show follows like travel logic. But I also still feel like it's a little bit silly.
Yeah.
Specifically because he tells Appa to stay. Like if there was a reason that Appa couldn't come, fair enough. But fucking take the flying bison.
Well, it's a bit more stealth to do the glider thing, but
That's fair. That's I suppose. But the entire Roku side quest did not need to happen.
yeah, and it's just also a bit weird in that there's a whole thing with the one sage that does try to help him, and the other ones being all corrupt and shit.
Yeah.
And that's just like, come with me, you can trust me, bro. And that's about it.
Yeah, nothing really comes of that. Like the entire episode there is so condensed. I don't know what the hell kind of drugs they gave Roku, but
Yeah.
what the fuck happened to his personality?
Yeah.
You know, I get it. Because the whole point of that scene is to show that avatars aren't all the same. He's about as different from Kyoshi as he could possibly be. But he literally says that as well. So.
Yeah, and that also, in this world at least, explains why fuck he couldn't stand up to Zozin. It's just a bit of a weirdo was.
Yeah, maybe yes. I guess you needed. Well, you didn't need to, but they clearly wanted to have Aang contact all of the previous avatars from the entire cycle.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna make one of them a jokey character, it has to be because Roku is the only one that had a reasonably normal fucking life. Out of them.
True.
So maybe like the only times we see Roku in the original series are in very important series moments in his life. Maybe he was a little bit more laid back. Like you could believe that, but it feels really jarring.
Yeah. Also, but I freaking love the line, ask me anything. I don't wanted to ask you about Ko. Anything but that.
That is funny. But you know, that is funny because it is funny writing, not because Roku is being a... So I appreciate that. But that is a very good line. I will agree with that. So Aang goes to give that back to Ko, gets his friends back. I don't really care. What I do care about is honestly the Zuko story in episode 6. Unless there's something you particularly want to talk about, the Spirit World.
Well, there's one thing in between him getting the thingy from Roku and then getting back to his friends.
Oh yeah, that happens.
Gets captured
that's right.
that beast is very much one-to-one from the cartoon, but very well done.
It's a little smaller, I feel.
It's a bit smaller, but
not in a bad way.
It's a bit more believable like this.
Yeah, I really like it, and it's really creepy.
Oh,
Speaking of creepy, the live-action Badger Moles are fucking terrifying.
Oh my god.
They are actually horrifying.
Yeah.
But so is Nyla, because that thing is wow.
Yeah, but a one-to-one representation of the cartoon, except for the scale maybe, but very well done and just works. for that whole creature with the focus on the nose and having no eyes.
It's really good. Also,
yeah.
the character itself, what's her name? June.
Yeah.
Also, perfect cast, perfect costume, perfect acting.
Absolutely.
Absolutely nailed
Just
it. She was on screen for like 2 minutes.
Well, she's going to be back, right?
She's gonna be back for another 2 minutes in season.
Probably.
They're rushing through a lot of this. They're rushing through the Fire Temple, then they rush through the Blue Spirit, where Aang gets captured. A little bit less rushing there, to be fair, but still pretty rushed, in my opinion.
Speaking of one-to-one representation, the whole Blue Spirit mask.
Very well done.
Very well done. Very much one-to-one.
It looked really good. I do like the little addition that Iroh puts the mask away into like one of the drawers, showing that
he knows.
What you know in the original show as well, from just context clues, where Iroh, from moment one, he knows.
Yeah, true.
But it's kind of fun to like see him interact with it in that way.
Well, they didn't have time to do all the context clues, so this is just an easier, faster, still nice and symbolic way to do it.
Yeah, certainly. You want to talk about Zuko?
Yeah.
I want to talk about Zuko. They fucked up. They didn't. They fucked up Ozai, which by proxy fucked up Zuko. And I don't care about Ozai's character. I like the fact that they gave him more complexity, but Zuko's character is collateral damage, and I don't like that. Number one.
I mean that's a good summarization of those two characters. Like Ozai is fucked up, which fucked up Zuko.
Zuko has collateral damage. Just in general, when Ozai is around, that is true. I don't mean it in like an in-world way, though. I mean it in a writing way. I know. But you are right. Zuko, originally, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the original thing, because this
take another shot.
This is one of those moments where I think that it's not bad because it's different. It's bad because they missed it. In the original, Ozai very clearly was looking for a reason to get rid of Zuko, because he gets in trouble for speaking out of turn, and then gets manipulated into a fight he doesn't understand. To some extent, that still happens here, except that he doesn't speak out of turn. He literally gets given a turn to speak,
and then says something that he doesn't like.
And then
I guess
he has a couple of bad plans, which Ozai is like, okay, no, all those plans suck, but you're learning. That's the point of me giving you a turn. I didn't expect you to actually come up with a good plan here. Then the general comes up with the plan to sacrifice a whole division, and Zuko's like, that's bad. Don't do that.
You would, yeah.
And even that doesn't get him the Agni Kai. What happens after is that the general comes up to Zuko to taunt him, to which Zuko responds, it was a terrible plan. And that then triggers the Agni Kai against Ozai, which, number one, the logic here is somehow even more convoluted while also not giving the vibes of the original, in my opinion. But at the same time, also being, I don't want to call it reasonable, because, like, challenging a 14-year-old kid, or at that point, like, 13-year-old kid, to a, like, fire duel is not reasonable in any situation, obviously.
Absolutely not.
But it's less, like, outwardly just hateful and abusive. Like, it fits a little bit more within context, like, the culture and whatever. Fucked up. One step more reasonable. That in and of itself wouldn't have been that big a deal. Because, I don't like it, but okay. Then we get to the actual fight, and Zuko's still like, oh, I'm fighting Dad. Please, don't hurt me, Daddy. And the reason in the original show that Zuko gets banished is not because he speaks out of turn. The reason he gets banished is because
he doesn't want to fight.
He doesn't want to fight. The reason he doesn't get banished is because he is a good person. Oh, the reason he does get banished, rather, is because he is a good person. In this version of events, he fights back. He like gets an opportunity to burn Ozai and doesn't do it. I don't think that holds the same weight.
No, and especially not for the scar, because in the original he gets a scar because he's like kneeling down and I don't want to fight, and then looks up and kablam. In this, the scar is, well, still in the same kind of vein that Ozai holds him down and is like, kabam here, now you'll remember. But could have, if he wanted to, he could construe that that was just something that happened during the fight because they had an actual fight.
And like at this point, I am like 100% on board. They done fucked up. Because I think that they, at 2 opportunities here, did not exactly the opposite, but they entirely seem to have missed the mark of what made those original scenes and those original character dynamics work. That being...
It entirely misses the point.
Yeah, because the whole point... And this is why this is a problem, right? Because all of this is Ozai being abusive. Not only physically, but mentally as well.
Yeah.
And that is a huge part of Zuko's eventual realization that causes him to switch sides, is the fact that he realizes how abusive all that was. While this is not non-abusive now, it's certainly a lot less so. Because in this version of events, as I stated before, Ozai is keeping his options open with Zuko to eventually potentially be an heir, instead of just sending him away. Originally, the whole point of Zuko having to go find the Avatar is to send him out into the world chasing a myth, not only banishing him, but actively banishing him in such a way that he maintains false hope.
Yeah, and fully thinking that this is an impossible mission.
Well, no, I think the point is that he, if he was just banished and told never to come back home, that's one thing. But he's told he can come home on a condition that Ozai just believes to be impossible.
Yeah, that was kind of what I meant.
Okay, yeah, I thought you meant from Zuko's perspective.
No.
The whole point is that from Zuko's perspective, there is hope, which makes it so much worse. In this version of events, it honestly seems to me like, and maybe I'm just like falling into Ozai's manipulation as well, but it seems to me like Ozai's idea here isn't to send Zuko away on a chase for something that's unattainable, as an honest like mission to teach him something and get rid of a danger to the Fire Nation, if it is still out there.
And that also seems to be what they're implying for Azula, that the whole thing that the I forgot their names, but the friends of Azula say he's just he's just manipulating you and don't take it so hard on yourself and blah blah blah. Just seems like that he is playing both of them to find the stronger heir, instead of just being like, Zuko, no, you're done.
Yeah,
you're a bussy dipshit. Get the fuck out of here.
Which, if you explain it like that, without the context of what that does to Zuko's motivation in the long term, that sounds like a good thing.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good, interesting change to that character, but it also has follow-on effects to Zuko's character, because Zuko's character is so intrinsically linked to Ozai's actions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that this... Improving Ozai at the cost of Zuko is a bad thing.
Oh, absolutely. Ozai can be just... Well, in the original, he can just be a cartoon villain in more ways than one, being bad guy because he be bad.
Yeah, like I said before, he's just flaming fire lord, flaming super mega Hitler, and that's all that he needs to be: a target for Aang and an abuser for Zuko. Is his role, and a little bit more complexity there is cool. And I wouldn't have minded it if that complexity was added anywhere else other than his relationship to Zuko. So I hate this episode with a burning passion. Like I hate this episode more than Zuko's face got burned. But, very big but. The one addition to this episode, I don't know if it makes up for all of the things that bother me here, but the fact that Zuko's crew are the people that he stood up for.
That was absolutely awesome.
That was actually like a goosebumps moment for me.
Yeah.
One of the few ones in this. That's probably the only original moment that actually got to me in this. Because everything else that got to me is like, I already have like strong feelings around the Iroh. So of course anything with Iroh, that you get Leaves from the Vine, instrumental, of course that's going to. This is entirely original content that made me feel something.
That was absolutely awesome.
And
also makes the whole... that whole conversation between Iroh and Zuko's crew is obviously lifted from the original, makes that whole thing so much more impactful and work a lot better. Because in the original, they're just like, oh yeah, he had a really traumatic childhood. Okay, we'll deal with his tyrannical bullshit. Here, it's like, holy fuck, we wouldn't be alive if it weren't for him.
It's not only
That works so much better.
It's not only that he just like spoke up about it and had like trauma around it and then got this opportunity. It's all that happened, and then when he was challenged on those beliefs by the man that just burned half his face off, he didn't back down. He said, no, you're wrong about this. Sometimes weak people need to get the opportunity to become strong. You're just wrong. That is a thing that gets him banished, which I still do think that is not... Like, within the context of what they're trying to do here, that makes sense as, like, what causes the banishment and whatever. I think it ruins opportunities, but I've complained about that enough by now. That makes it doubly strong for him standing up for the little guy. Is after everything he's went through, he still hasn't changed that belief. And that combined with the like previous episode or the episode before that, where he like gives his condolences to Iroh, like, you should be honored that Lieutenant died for the Fire Nation, and then goes back on that like, no, this is not what I feel. What I feel is sadness and sorrow. I want to be there for my family. I want to be the good person that deep down I am. And that's what Iroh sees in him, and that's what Iroh's trying to convey to those people on the ship. But now those people on the ship also have a reason to care about that. A damn good reason. Not dying.
Yeah.
So, I love that moment. I really, really do.
Absolutely. That was something that they added that made it a whole lot better. It's a shame all those other things are...
Yeah, no, I hate about 90% of this episode. Also, Aang and Zuko have like 2 more sentences of dialogue with the Blue Spirit thing. Great. Fun. I don't like this episode. I love that moment. So,
shall we get to the
I rumbled
North
on
Pole?
a little bit. Is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Not really. Let's just get to the North Pole.
To the North Pole. I don't have a lot to say here, I'm going to be honest with you.
It's kind of just one-to-one.
Yeah.
Sort of.
It mostly is. Azula shows her first zappy moment, which is cool, except for the fact that the first time she shows it is through anger, which, again...
Not how that works.
Not how that works. It's literally the reason Zuko cannot do it. So that's a little bit annoying. And, you know, at the end of the series, when she has her Agni Kai with Zuko, she also does it when she's totally bananas. But at that point, you can believe that she's mastered it to a point where she could do that. At this point, not so much. She doesn't even have a fucking blue fire yet.
Yeah, which is also kind of weird.
I was waiting for a moment where it turns blue. It turns blue like twice for a frame.
Yeah, there's some hints of blue, and I get the fact that they're building up to it and all that. But it's...
They should have definitely ended the season with her producing a proper burst of blue flame.
Even if it's just
for the Fire Nation and then into the air, just like a fire thrust.
Something like that.
That's all that it needed to be.
I get the whole progression thingy, and...
well, I say that, I actually have a opinion. You first.
I get the whole progression thing that they're doing, that they want to build up to it, and it shows the marksmanship of a really, really, really good firebender. But she already is that.
She already is that, and
she shows in her training that she's fucking epic.
I
also just get over it.
And this is kind of an interpretation thing. The way I've always read Azula's blue flame is not only the fact that it's hot or fire, but also a representation of her mental state.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping that at some point she just kind of like snaps. And there was one moment, the moment she does the lightning to show her dad, like, I'm a big girl now. I was like, she's going to challenge her dad to a fight. And that's where she's going to produce the blue flames for the first time.
That would be awesome.
Because there's literally, like, it's literally the Boomy scene from the original show where Boomy's like, choose your opponent. And you're like, oh, she's going to choose Ozai, her opponent. Uh-huh. And then she didn't. And then Ozai even firebands at her when she tries to walk away. And then she still doesn't.
Well, she does know how that ends.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
She might be good, but Come on.
And then she just like zaps a nearby roof. I really was waiting for the moment that like she doesn't even necessarily need to like win that fight. She doesn't even necessarily need to be shown to be more powerful than Ozai. Having like the backbone to stand up and actually fight and whatever, all that stuff. And then showing that blue fire could be the moment that Ozai's like, okay, you've shown me, you're onto some good shit. And that's how the fight ends, without there being a violent solution to it. There could still be a better way that they end up doing it in the start of Season 2, which will make me go back on these words. I think that was the moment to do it.
Yeah, and it also seems weird that she has the ability to summon lightning earlier than her blue flames.
Yeah.
Lightning seems to be the end step, like...
Well, that's sad.
Yeah.
Like Ozai and Iroh can do lightning and don't have blue flame.
Yeah, no, can Arya can do it, yeah.
And if we want to get real bitchy about it, like a billion people can do it in Korra.
Yeah, but let's not talk about that.
Yeah. That's
Same goes for metal bending.
Yeah, and to some extent blood bending and a lot of bending.
Yeah.
Power creep is real in Korra. And I think it's not even that out of reality for like the world building. But
Let's get to the North Pole.
North Pole. Anything we want to talk about that we haven't talked about yet? We've talked about Parkour already being sexist. The fight is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Kind
of would have hoped there was more than just water splashing and then some ice skating.
Oh,
it kind of felt repetitive at some point.
It did. One thing that I really did like is the fact that Katara's like ice discs that she does is now explained to be something that she developed on her own based on seeing earthbenders.
Yeah, based on it's based on Boomy, right?
Did she see Boomy do anything like that?
I think he does.
But did she see that? Because she only...
Oh, yeah. Fair point. Doesn't matter.
I'm not sure that it's necessarily Boomy related, but she does say something about earthbending. I remember that much. Yeah. Might have been Boomy. I don't know. If it is, that feels like a continuity error.
Well, she doesn't explicitly state who it was. So
okay.
It could be off screen somewhere.
But the idea that like, oh yeah, of course, like this is what earthbenders do. It's a very earthbendy move, like making something solid and taking chunks out of it to throw it at your enemy. I really like that as an addition. I also like the fact that when Katara's like, no, fuck you, we're going to fight in this battle, she doesn't just do it for herself, she actually brings the other woman as well.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That makes it a little bit less of a selfish, I want to do this, and more of a, no, this is fucked up. You have literal, like, magic people here. Let them fight.
Do something with it.
So that makes that feel a lot more satisfying. Now, do we want to talk about Sokka, or do we want to talk about Kuruk?
Well,
or something else.
Let's get to Sokka. Fine. The whole thing kind of goes the same way as it does in the original. I
think it's a straight up improvement.
Yeah, except for one thing.
I'm going to blow your mind in a moment here, and you're going to be very upset that they didn't do something very clever.
Well, in the spirit world, I literally wrote down, wait, tough already? And then, nope, it wasn't. But that very much felt like the same way that Toph was introduced, like some running away spirit thingy.
I did notice that she had like a weird ass ring on her tail, but I didn't see the like moon insignia on it at all.
No, I even went back to check like what the fuck was that. I couldn't get anything of it, and I don't really see why the hell that has to do with anything.
It's a little bit forced in there. Then again, I think it does make the whole love story here work a little bit better, with Sokka being like, I know her from somewhere. And Yue having broken off her engagement, which arranged marriages being broken off in general, like, I like the idea
That's
of that.
a good thing. Yes.
So I think that does improve things. But the like inciting incident of what makes that difference here is a little bit weird. I will agree with that.
Yeah, just why? I mean, I get it. She's somehow spirit related, and sure, whatever. I just don't see the purpose.
Well, the purpose is to have this love story go slightly differently in a somewhat more logical way, because the UA love story in the original, very weird and very dumb.
She's a pretty girl. What more do you want?
And that's about all there is to it. And then she decides that, hey, I also like Sokka because I've known him for like 5 minutes, but I'm engaged. But I really like Sokka because I've known him for 6 minutes now.
Well, yes, that's an improvement. Absolutely. But the whole spirit thing just seems weird.
Well, that is the method in which the improvement is delivered, is because they and I don't really personally mind the idea that she can like just like hang out in the spirit world with the explanation given. Like, I am part spirit, so I can just do that.
In her dreams, right?
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
something like that.
It's kind
Which
of weird
is
that she has why is she a fox is the only thing that bothers me. I suppose.
Well, her being a moon would be a bit weird.
Yeah, I have in my notes that I suppose a fish looks a little bit less fuckable than a fox.
Well, if you want to make it moon related, have her be a wolf.
That would have been so much fucking better. Oh my god,
Right.
I just throw something off my desk. That would have been so much better. It's so close. You're right. Make her a wolf instead of a fox.
Make a whole point about it that there's somewhere that just have a moon in the sky behind her. or
That said,
something.
I'm pretty sure that this specific fox, because it's got like 4 tails, it's based on some kind of, I think, Japanese myth of a woman turning into a.
True. In Shang-Chi, they're also around.
Oh yeah, that's right. So that is probably the reason that they went with a fox. I think you're right with the moon aesthetic and themes, that a wolf would have made so much more sense.
But then again, that's a very Western thing to associate a wolf with the moon.
That is also.
Anywho,
I personally like. I
I-
can swallow that little bit of weirdness for the entire story around it than later being better, because this is one of those
absolutely, and
things where
the whole arranged marriage thing seemed weird in the original, and is handled very much better here.
yeah, and I think this is one of those things where it feels weird to us because we know that the fox spirit isn't there in the original. I don't think that in itself it's a big deal. But then again, this comes back to the question that I posed at the very beginning of when I started watching it: is who is this for? And I do believe that this is very much for people who know the original source material. So I think that it still is valid to say it's a little bit weird of an addition. I'm a little on the fence about it.
It's a bit weird, but in the end, it's fine. And that's kind of a good summary of this whole thing. But
Yeah, it is. So what I want to talk about
yeah,
is the last Avatar to contact.
right.
Be-
The non-helpful dickhead.
Because the moment Avatar Kyoshi showed up, I was like, how are they going to like write their way out of this in the North Pole? Because there's 100% going to be a Kuruk statue in the North. And then they actually kind of make it make sense. And I was impressed.
Yeah, kind of.
Because the whole idea that like Kuruk had his body and spirit damaged and corrupted through fighting dark spirits is pre-established in other canon. Like that is actually like just straight up a thing. They didn't make that up. That's also the reason Avatar Kuruk died so fucking young. Like he died at like 30 something.
Oh dear.
Which is then the reason that Avatar Kyoshi decided, hey, I'm not doing that. I'm living to 200 something. So that is like pre-established stuff from the Kyoshi novels, which they're using here. And I skipped over it in the Spirit World episode. The one thing I liked about the Spirit World is that they introduced the Fog of Lost Souls from Korra as well.
Oh yeah.
Like they're picking things from spin-off media, secondary media, to
Expanded canon.
the expanded universe. They're picking things from that fit in well, and they're pretty good at picking the right things at the right moments. Like this Kuruk bit is obviously they were going to have a Kuruk moment, but they couldn't have him step in and take the final battle. But they then use something that is like pre-established, which most people probably don't know, to be fair, because I don't think a huge amount of people watching this will have read that book.
I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you didn't, a lot of other people probably wouldn't have as well.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Fog of Lost Souls, right? Is okay, I don't like the way they did Ko, but it makes sense that with the way they made Ko, that he would be hanging out in the Fog of Lost, because that's
absolutely.
easy targets for it. So I actually kind of am okay with the way they did. What I'm less okay with is the fact that he was a dick about it. Like a massive, massive dick.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything to add. I just wanted to bring up that I think that they were very clever there, but also, man, you're talking to a child. Calm the fuck down.
He's just exhausted from, being around still.
From being dead for like half a millennia.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems fine, but it's just a bit of a nothing burger. He just doesn't get anything out of it.
Yeah, he just shows up to finish off showing the other avatar.
Yeah, it's just, gotta catch them all.
If he had just given, in the meeting with Aang, had given the warning that, hey, I feel like my dagger is drawn close, there might be something funky going on, instead of making that a separate scene where he shows up in, like, spirit form.
A freaking force spear, whatever the fuck.
Like, okay, just combine those two scenes in the scene where they are communicating. That makes way more sense, and that makes that scene actually useful.
Yeah.
That would have to write around a couple of different, timing things, but that we can make that work. That's not really a problem. It's definitely the weakest of the Avatar talks, without a doubt. It's also the Avatar that least people know.
Yeah, true.
So that probably has... to the point where in the original series, when Aang talks to him, he needs to introduce himself. Because we hadn't heard about him. That said, Yang Chen also needs to introduce herself, and people seem more familiar with her. He's just kind of a nothing avatar.
Well, that's how they describe him, right? He wasn't around much. He was chilling. Well, not chilling, but he was in the spirit world.
Yeah.
So nobody really knows him or cares about him, even though he did a lot of valuable things in the spirit world, I think.
Yeah, a lot of fighting, like dark spirits, unbalanced spirits, and that kind of stuff. Which, just to get into like a little bit of lore nerd, that is a problem in his time because Yang Cheng didn't do that. She was just all about like the physical world and the 4 nations. At that point, 5 nations, I believe, actually. Read the books.
Wait, 5 nations?
There's a 5th nation. I don't know if it's... Yeah. There's a 5th nation, I think, during Yang Chen's time, which eventually evolves into a pirate nation.
That seems fun.
Which Kyoshi then fucking wipes out.
Less fun.
Well, not for them.
Well...
Again, the book's actually pretty good. Lore dump aside, we'll do that again when we get back to Kingdom Hearts. Want to move on to like non-Avatar Kuruk or Avatar-related stuff and talk about...
Yeah, let's just get to the fight.
About the fight, because this is actually a moment... I've been very pro the way they held up with Sokka's character without being sexist. Weren't it for the fact that Sokka is the only person supporting Katara against a sexist issue in this.
Even though after the fight, even the fight they had before, all the students were like, wow, that was awesome. How did you do that?
No, this is even before that. This is before she goes to fight Paku in the first place. Where Sokka's like hyping her up, like, go kick his ass.
Uh-huh.
And that's very impactful because even Aang is like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't fight. For different reasons. Not because sexism, but because he's worried about being this. So Sokka is literally the only person who is supporting her in standing up against this bullshit. Very cool. Wouldn't it have been so much better if that was after a character arc where he had to overcome his own sexism?
Yeah.
I rest my case. There's nothing else to add there. They did a pretty good job with replacing his sexism with just ineptitude. And then they had a strong character moment for him that could have benefited from the original character.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of still there, but it's a bit diluted and doesn't as much.
I mean, he still does have those, like we said in the episode 2 portion there. He still does have a little bit of like underlying sexism, where he's like, "Oh, I'll teach you." He doesn't literally say, "I'll teach you," even though you're a girl or because you're a girl, and you need. But that's still kind of there, right? But it's not really like his character arc. There's like no real character growth in that. It's just like he does that, and then he has different character growth. So this doesn't feel like what could have been a pretty satisfying, damn near epic moment where he realizes that, oh, this is what I was like before, and now I'm seeing this from a different perspective, and that can be like the last little push over the edge to like create his new.
Yeah, that would be a whole lot better.
It's not like this is bad. It's still a hype moment,
Sure,
but I just want
but
it to
that
be better.
would have been better. Yeah.
Anything about the fight itself? Because I didn't really like. It's a good fight. It's not as good as the animated version, but that's for most fights.
Yeah. The fight itself is fine. It's visually it's nice. It's well done. Yeah.
That's about
Let's just get to the fishes.
I do want to note one thing. One thing that most people watching the show probably, or even most people watching this, probably missed out on. Because Katara says a very ham-fisted, don't look to the past, look to the future. Only one person knows who will write the Legend of Aang. And people will probably be like, Legend of Aang? Is that like a Legend of Korra reference? No, it's not. It's a reference to the European name of the show. Because over here, in most countries anyway, it was called the Legend of Aang.
Yeah.
Did you even miss that?
Yeah.
You fucking watched it with the name being the Legend of Aang.
Yeah, but that was the first convoluted time I watched like sections of it and not in order and all that. I've been watching it in the American English language version for the past 15 years.
Yeah, that's fair.
I absolutely forgotten that. I've forgotten how the Dutch voices sound, and I've forgotten how the Dutch the catchphrases were that me and my brother were throwing around. It's just all replaced with the English language version.
For the most part, for me too. There's a couple of things that I still do remember being different, and for the most part, worse. Still, the localization I remember being pretty good. But that was the name for a lot of European countries, was the Legend of Aang at the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a reference to that. And I don't think most people will get that. So I wanted to throw that out 4 hours into a recording that nobody's going to get this far. If you're still watching this at this point, by the way, comments. What should they comment? My cabbages.
No, we need to get that hashtag going. We need to get hashtag the rock the boulder.
Yeah, rock for boulder. Yeah, okay. Comment that if you're still watching at this point, because we are like deep in. It's not 4 hours, it's 3.5. And after this has been cut down, it's like under 3.
Anyway, let's get to the fishes.
Finale time.
Yeah.
Time to be positive again for a moment. At least for me. I am so happy with the fact that they used the hot air balloon, the war balloon. Because in the original show, if you really think about it, if Zhao can get to the Spirit Oasis at the very back behind the palace, I don't think he will have trouble winning like this battle in general.
Just get to the palace, kill the important people, and you're done.
Yeah, if you can get to a place that is to these people more important than the palace. Construction of like castles and cities is you put your castle in the middle because it's the hardest thing to get to because it's the most important. In this case, one of the sides is like literal barren wasteland where you're not going to get attacked from. So the Northern Water Tribe has the palace at the back because it's the safest place for that thing. The Spirit Oasis is even further back, noting that it is more important. So if you can get to that, you can win this battle.
Yeah.
So the fact that they just skip over the battle altogether and just fly into the Oasis is genius.
Yeah. On the other hand, people wouldn't be trained to look up during a battle. But also, I feel like someone would have spotted that thing.
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know. If you're like on an active battlefield against people on the ground, and this is technology that's never happened before, it's not like these people would even be like used to fighting airbenders anymore and be looking up because of that. And even if airbenders were still around, they wouldn't be used to fighting them because airbenders.
They don't fight.
So I feel like it's quite reasonable to assume that they wouldn't be looking up. And then, even then, you would only really notice them if they were literally like in front of the moon.
Well, there's also like it's a hot air balloon, so there is some fire.
There is fire. Okay, fair enough. That is fair.
I know it's fine. It's just a little nitpicky thing.
I honestly
just
don't
felt
think that it would be an issue, personally.
Yeah, well, besides the fact that you're next to the ocean and next to the North Pole, to fly a hot air balloon, you need, well, to fly a hot air balloon is to basically give yourself over to the wind in the sense of what direction you're going. Having that thing land in the right place is either a whole lot of luck or a whole lot of
But
good planning or whatever.
I don't think that's entirely fair, because that's
Yeah.
an issue with like hot air balloons in all of fiction, pretty much.
Yeah, true.
But you're right. Like steering a hot air balloon would be
You just
problem.
don't. You just don't.
Well, I mean, you can steer a blimp, which is effectively just a big hot air balloon. But,
Yeah, but that has propellers.
are we sure that this one doesn't?
I know the one in the show in the cartoon has some sort of propeller thingies. I think
Maybe. I mean, we can try to look it up.
maybe
real
this one has.
quick.
What?
Avatar War Balloon. This is not gonna. Yeah, I was afraid of that. This is not gonna give me the live action one.
Yeah.
But certainly the cartoon one has a propeller on the back indeed, but it only has one propeller, so that's not really gonna do much for you.
Yeah, not really. Well, and it also has the fin on the back. It
I
has
suppose,
a propeller
yeah.
and the fin, but still, that isn't gonna get you against the wind. You
No.
you might be steering a little bit, but not against the wind. Not against the wind there.
Still, I don't think that's really fair to criticize. But I mean, like physically
It's a bit.
speaking, you're
It's
right.
a bit nitpicky. Yeah.
More than a bit.
Anywho,
Um,
yeah, and apart from that, I'm 100% on your side on that.
Because the
It's a whole
alternative
lot
is
better.
what the original does is needing to kill the moon spirit to win the battle. But in order to kill the moon spirit, you practically have to win the battle. And I also like that Zhao is not a monster. He's not going to kill the ocean spirit. Only the
Just the
moon.
moon.
Killing the ocean spirit would kill thousands of waterbenders over the world. Women, men, children. I'm not a monster.
I'm just gonna take their power away.
I really like that line. That's one of the few things I really do like about this episode. But this is a pattern. The things that I do like, I really like.
Yeah.
The things that I don't like are a few I really don't like, and the rest I just don't really care.
Yeah, most of it is just fine.
Oh, I almost forgot. I'm gonna blow your mind with an idea that is so fucking good, and then you're gonna be really upset that it didn't.
All right, lay it on me.
Yue in this version can waterbend.
Yeah.
Fucking makes sense, right? She has the moon spirit in it.
That would obviously make a whole lot of sense, yes.
We see the ocean spirit in the original show doing some waterbending after the moon disappears, and we only ever see it pushing water.
Right.
Wouldn't it have been great if we only ever saw Yue waterbending with pulling motion?
Yeah.
She pulls, but also pushes. She has like two pushing motions, so that's not the case.
Yeah, but it also would be such a small thing. And
But why is she a
either-
waterbender to begin with in this version?
that's a fair point. But either you have to make a thing about it, which would make it lame.
No, you don't, because
Or-
in the original version, nobody ever explicitly says, hey, that big-ass fucking koi fish-looking Godzilla monster's only pushing water. That's something that fans figured out through watching this show a million times. And they're like, hey, wait a second, that adds up with, like, thematics and lore.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So you could very much just do that and just leave it in there. But this show is... If they had done it, they definitely would have said something about it, because this show is very much like self-congratulatory.
Yeah. I'd rather they don't they did it like they actually did it, and just she's waterbended, deal with it. Then that they made a whole thing about it that she can only pull water.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You don't need to make a thing about it. She does
Yeah,
three
but
waterbending
they're gonna make a thing about it.
Yeah, okay, but like the fact that they suck doesn't mean that there isn't some opportunity here for them not to suck.
It's an. I mean, I'm not taking away from the fact that yes, that is a very good idea, and yes, they should have done that. I'm just not seeing them doing that without making a whole thing about it, and that would make it lame.
It would, but at least it would be fucking a little bit like more clever, because at this point, like what is the reason for her to have waterbending? I'll tell you what the reason is for her to have waterbending.
So she can fix Momo.
So she can fix Momo, and the reason that Momo gets fucked up because they need a reason for those characters to be in that place.
Again, because Momo's God and Jesus.
Yeah, Momo is Jesus, so they need to go to the Spirit Oasis.
Yeah.
Instead of what would have maybe made more sense is the Avatar Kuruk statue is already at the gate to that oasis. Just have, if you move the Aang portion, Aang and Kuruk portion of I think last episode to right now, you can have Kuruk say, "Hey, the dagger, the fish, watch out."
Yeah.
In that flashback, and then they immediately have a reason to go into the oasis. Then you don't need the Momo fake out death, which for a moment I honestly thought they were going to kill him because he's too expensive to animate. And then you don't need Yue to be a waterbender. Then the only reason Yue needs to be a waterbender is to freeze Sokka to the ground to prevent him from interfering with her sacrificing herself. But I feel like that's a little like, you don't need that.
Yeah, just have a better argument.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's
you're
not
cute,
like...
You're cute and all, but, you know, my whole culture is dying, so bye.
Yeah, and at risk of being in the original show guy, because I've been there quite a lot throughout this now, in the original show, Sokka is there and just stands by as she fucking dies. He's even like right there supporting and comforting her. She doesn't need to freeze him to the ground. There's no reason for her to be a waterbender. So if they're going to do that, do something clever with it.
Also, then the fact that he is letting her make her own choices, even though he was tasked with protecting her, just finishes off the whole
and
being better towards women arc.
Exactly. It makes him less sexist because a woman can make her own fucking choice.
Yeah, okay, all right. I'm on board.
With not making her a waterbender. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't need to be. I personally prefer the idea that she's just not a waterbender because it doesn't add anything. If they're going to do that, I would have preferred if they were clever with it. They weren't. So that's my mind-blowing moment. And that's also accidentally talking about like their entire plotline in this episode. I think, at least from my notes.
Yeah.
It's neat that one of the male students calls Katara Master.
Yeah, that's cute.
It's fun. Especially since she's very awkward, like, I'm not a... wait, come back, I'm not a master.
Take that back, right now.
I feel like her being named a waterbending master is a lot more abrupt even than it is in the original show here.
Yeah.
Because there we see there presumably is like at least a couple of weeks of training that we just like time skip over. But here it is, we arrive. I want a teacher. You don't get to have a teacher. Maybe I'll teach you. Actually, you don't need a teacher. Within like a day.
Yeah, and that's the problem with this whole thing. It's so much more condensed, which gives stuff just a whole lot less time to marinate, to actually progress.
Which is funny because the runtime is actually not that dissimilar.
I know, but it seems like this whole season takes place in a week, maybe 2.
Yeah, that's definitely what it feels like. And I think a part of that is the fact that they pull things from other seasons. Like Secret Tunnel, like that's a season 2 thing usually.
And also the whole fact that they don't get to do just random stuff like riding a koi fish or just the whole side mission things. They just aren't here, which makes it all so much more condensed.
Yeah, that does result in that. I still don't think that putting in random side quests that don't actually further the plot really fits in this format.
No, but at least like show them being in Omashu for like a week or 2 or whatever. It feels like they're there for 2 days.
show a bit of nighttime every so
That would help.
I think that would help immensely. And worst case scenario, what you can do is, instead of Boomy saying, hey, this episode is over, go to the next episode, because that's literally what he says almost, what he can say is, hey, you guys have had a rough week, saying, hey, you've been here for a week, maybe you should rest up for a little. And then next episode, when we come back to them, we can assume, okay, they've been a week in Omashu, maybe they've spent another week resting up, and maybe doing a little bit of training, and maybe Aang could do some fucking water bending.
Yeah.
And then we immediately moved the Omashu bit of this series from being a day or two long to being a week or two long. It's a very forced bit of writing. I think that forced bit of writing would be preferable to feeling like this all takes place over such a short period.
Yeah.
But then again, the entire season is also based on the idea that they have to rush to the north to protect them rather than going to the north to learn waterbending.
True.
Which, in and of itself, in the first place, is a mistake.
Yeah, and that also makes it rushed because they need to get there. They need to get there now.
Yeah, and that's a change they chose to make.
Yeah.
Giving Aang that vision right from the start. So he already had a good motivation. And I know why they didn't do that motivation, because he didn't fucking waterbend.
Yeah.
Which still, why?
I will fucking murder someone if they next season opening is like him and Katara waterbending at the North Pole, being all like, okay, we're done with you have mastered water. Let's move on.
I will lose my mind, because it isn't until halfway through book 2 that Katara's like, yeah, you've pretty much mastered it, usually. Which plays into the idea that in the actual finale of the cartoon, Aang has mastered 2 elements, not 4.
Yeah.
Zuko's like, your firebending is just sad. and Toph is like, yeah, and your earthbending isn't much better. Until he goes into the Avatar state, at which point he fucking destroys Ozai, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But that really does make him feel makes it feel dangerous, because if Aang actually does that quickly master everything, at this point, and this is a thing that I have issues with in Avatar in general, why does anybody ever fight the Avatar? For the Fire Nation, it made sense.
Yeah.
But give me 5 minutes, then you just need to shoot me. In Korra, Amon kind of makes sense. Unalog, we don't talk about that. Zahir, you can see the Avatar as an authority figure, I guess.
Yeah, none chosen and kind of has rule over a lot of things.
I mean, it's kind of like...
It's monarchy with extra steps.
It's a monarchy with a Dalai Lama, is what it is.
Yeah.
So that all makes kind of a certain amount of sense. Then we get to fucking Kuvira.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
Why the fuck does Kuvira think that she has the leader of a new empire? Why would she think it's a good idea to fight the Avatar again? Why does the Earth Queen in Book 3 think it's a good idea to fight the fucking Avatar? Like, none of that makes... I'm going to stop about this now. It's about
the Earth Queen is indeed dumb. I mean, Kuvira at least brings a fucking mech suit.
Yeah, a skyscraper-sized one. But like, people... Even politically, Zahir literally pointed out to the Earth Queen, like, you can't just capture the Avatar and keep her imprisoned. That's gonna cause a war.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to write an Avatar story with a villain that has a reason to be fighting the Avatar, I suppose.
It's the Superman problem.
Yeah, but turned up to 11, I would even say, because the Superman problem is just a power scaling thing, which power scaling wise against the Avatar, you also have a problem, obviously. Yeah. But then, besides just having like a lot of physical power, the Avatar also has a lot of just inherent political power.
Yeah, true.
So attacking the Avatar is immediately attacking the rest of the fucking world.
It's attacking the stability of things and stuff. Yeah.
So I don't even know how I got to this rant. Oh yeah, Aang needs to be not very powerful as much as possible when fighting Ozai, so he can't just too easily master elements off screen. That's, yeah. You want to talk about Koizilla? Oh no, I want to talk about one more thing. Unless you have something else before Koizilla as well.
Yeah, not really.
Okay. I really love the idea that Zhao thinks he can go from commander to admiral to fucking fire lord that easily. Like,
Speaking of power scaling,
what is his plan here? Like, how does he think that taking out the moon is going to help him overthrow Ozai?
yeah,
Because that doesn't do much for him.
I don't think it's a well thought out plan. It's just showing that he has gone a bit power mental.
Yeah, I mean, he does go a little insane toward the end there. That is true. It's not really a criticism of the writing. It's just a moment that I thought was really funny. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Let's go through this. You go.
Yeah, but it did work quite well for just to show his mental state in that point.
Yeah, no, it does. But otherwise, like, you have to challenge Ozai to like a duel. The moon doesn't impact the outcome of that duel unless you think you're going to like take your navy back to the Fire Nation and overthrow him.
Which would be a very dumb idea.
But like, do you really think that if you're taking your whole navy back to the Fire Nation and saying, "Hey, you guys are going to attack the king," that they're going to listen to you?
You know, just casually attack your home.
Yeah, no,
maybe not.
Seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's there to show how absolutely delusional it is.
And for that, it works absolutely great.
It works fine. It works real well for that, because I actually laughed at that.
Yeah.
Godzilla.
Koizilla.
It's not even Koizilla here. It's literally just Godzilla.
Well, it's a little bit of a koi face, sort of.
Sort of, maybe at the right angle.
The rest of him is very much Godzilla, yes.
Yes.
Including the scales on the back and yeah. I don't really like the addition of the whole reason that Yue eventually gives up her life.
Yeah.
Is to do with the fact that Aang would be trapped in that state, just serving the ocean spirit, instead of her just, I want to save my culture and people and way of life. Why would Aang be stuck there? He's just helping out and extending his power to this spirit, but
I mean, that is a somewhat reasonable interpretation of what happens originally, because Aang's like, "Hey, you, let's fuse. Fusion, boom, Koizilla." And then the moment the moon does return, the ocean spirit is like, "Okay, I'm out of here. You're getting Aang back, and I'm taking Zhao back to the spirit world." Which Zhao just gets fucking burned alive in this version.
Yeah, which sucks, because I liked Zhao being taken to the spirit world and just going absolutely insane.
I don't really care about that. What I do care about is the fact that it doesn't give Zuko the opportunity to try to save Zhao.
Yeah, that also.
That is, to me, a much bigger deal. But you can read that as, like the original show, you can read that in this way, is that the ocean spirit is just like, "Okay, now I've got a way to fuck everything up," and he calms down and goes back when the moon comes back. Or he's just like, "The moon's back, not longer my problem, I'm out." It's whatever way you want to interpret that. I don't think that specifically is a unreasonable interpretation of what that scene does. I do think that it shouldn't be the motivation for Yue, at the very least, because, as you say, her wanting to save her culture and her people is specifically because in this version of events, she's even a spiritual leader of her people.
Exactly.
What? Why is Aang the motivation? I agree with you. That doesn't make sense. I don't love the design, but nothing was going to top the animated design, to be fair.
And this Godzilla was fun. Koizilla, whatever.
My biggest problem is that this Koizilla just kind of hits people and ships. Barely does any water moving.
Well, except for the tsunami at the end, but
yeah.
Apart from that, yeah. Well, the whole thing is made out of water.
Naturally,
so.
Yeah, that. But naturally, like, if you're attacking things and you're like swinging your arms, if you were a literal like water god, which at that point, ocean spirits combined with the Avatar, I think we can call that a water god.
Yeah.
Like, it would be pretty effortless to swipe your arm, do physical damage with that and also cause a fucking tidal wave every single time you move, which is what happens in the original show. Well, I do see the reason that they didn't do it, CGI budget. And it's not a big deal, but it did feel kind of like I was missing out on part of what made that section work for me to begin with. I don't know why. Maybe also because I was specifically more so looking out for, hey, does this version of this guy pull any water? Because if so, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. And he didn't, because he barely waterbended.
Yeah, he just got to the city, smacked some people in the head, and made a big old tidal wave.
Which makes it, yeah. And maybe that's also part of the thing that makes him more Godzilla than, like, Spirit Monster. Because, like,
would have been fun if he had a big jet of water out of his mouth, then it would make the whole Godzilla thing come full circle.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
But, like, aside from that tidal wave, what does he do there that Godzilla wouldn't?
Not much.
So I feel like maybe that's... I don't love it as much as the original. This is one of those times where that's purely like mostly an emotional reaction because it's different, I feel. And the original is just like that sequence, that scene of the ginormous Godzilla fish monster. Honestly, like to this day, one of the most... Like the animation itself isn't even that impressive, but it's something about the just the general filmmaking going on there, the composition, the pacing of those scenes, the portrayal of that monster, everything about it. Like it's such an impressive scene, and I kind of feel like this was just like this was. It feels like a Marvel final boss.
Well, not really, because this is not.
It's not the same powers as
the same powers are antagonists. Just the same powers are protagonists. Just switch around a bit.
No, but like if you put those scenes and intercut them with like the emergence of like the Celestial in the Eternals.
Yeah, true.
Like that feels like that scene could just slot right in there if there was a little bit more context for why there was a huge ass fucking water monster. You need a little bit more writing to make that work, but like visually and stylistically, it feels very close to that, which in some ways still is a compliment, because as much as people like to shit on Marvel these days, I still think that they like visually do some impressive stuff sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
But it just didn't feel like Avatar anymore at that point to me.
Yeah, I can see that. I thought it was, again, fine. It doesn't do really that much, but then again, apart from shooing all those ships away, it doesn't need to do that much, because once you shoot away all the ships, you're kind of done. And
yeah, that's
at
the
that
only
point,
purpose
the moon is
that
back.
thing has. Yeah.
Yeah, they could have done a better job of showing scale. I think
that is my main issue. Another issue.
Going back to Godzilla, what Godzilla the American remakes of Godzilla missed, and what they did very well in something like Pacific Rim, is showing scale, and that is what this was, just kind of drone shots around the monster. Which, everything is kind of small, so you know it's big, but missed just the perspective of someone from the ground looking up and being all like, holy fuck, that thing is like 15 stories tall. Fuck me, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, something like that would have helped. What I also think, it's not necessarily a scale thing, but more of a like just general intimidation factor. And I would have to go back, I haven't done this yet, but I would have to go back to the original animated version. Feel like in the original animated version, when the Fire Nation ships fired at the Godzilla monster, it barely reacts. It just doesn't give a shit.
It gets a bit more angry, I think, but...
This version actually, like, there's a little bit of a break in the action to have, like, the fake out of, oh, did we kill it, and then of course it bursts back out of the water and whatever, but that makes it so much less and maybe I'm remembering the original wrong, I want that to be very clear, but to my feeling, that makes it so much less like this is a creature that is so far beyond anything that even a full navy could do anything against. Because if like
Yeah.
10 fireballs to the face does make it take a step
Yeah.
back, you now have like a barometer for how much force that this thing can take.
Yeah, it gives a bit of tension in that, oh, wait, can they do something? And then the tidal wave comes and they're like, oh, no, fuck.
That's the other side of the argument, is that the way they do it now creates more of a like peak and valley tension, which is
Yeah.
like generally better for an action scene, of course. So in that regard, you could argue that this does that better. I personally really liked the feeling of, oh my god, this is like out of anybody's. We don't even need to like think about scaling this guy in terms of power, because it's so ridiculous. And that mostly going into next season, which I guess we maybe shouldn't use that too much as a reasoning for what is good and what isn't. The next season in the cartoon version starts with a general being like, hey, I heard about that Avatar state thing that you can do. Let's focus on that, because that seems really good. Which always bothered me, because this isn't the Avatar state. Well, it is.
Kind of.
It's also like the majority of the fucking on everybody around here is the moon spirits, or the ocean spirits, rather. Moon spirits dead. Combined with the Avatar state. Like, if Aang just rocks up to the Fire Nation start of book 2, he doesn't have that, and he would still be absolute power of nature. But less so than he was in the North Pole. Always bothered me a little. But
Yeah,
having this is, it feels a little bit less like he was actually like straight up untouchable and could do anything.
On the other hand, if Yue would have waited a bit for...
Would he have just gone to the Fire Nation?
Yeah.
And cleaned up
It would be
shop?
done.
Fucking hell, you, I mean, it's not that, like, it's a far walk, but apparently Aang can glide from Omashu to the Fire Nation in, like,
Exactly. It's for such a giant monster, that's just a small stroll. It should be fine. Just walk over there, flood everything, and we're done.
Frankly, the North Pole's closer to the Fire Nation than Omashu, so
Exactly.
that should check out. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I just realized, people probably already commented about this, I just realized in that episode in the Heibai Forest, which there is a little bit of a time skip there, so they're probably a significant distance away from Omashu. Still doesn't change the fact that it's ridiculous that he would fly there in one night.
Yeah.
He's probably a little closer than I thought.
Anywho, let's draw a conclusion to this, because god damn, this is a long podcast.
This is very long. Yeah, one last thing. Yue's eyes were blue when the moon spirit is dead. It wasn't very clear to me that they were blue before everything went black and white. And everything doesn't fucking go black and white. It just goes very desaturated.
Yeah, it's just dark.
I mean,
because
Aang's clothes are very vibrant, and those you can see still have color in the black and white.
Yeah, and every time there's some sort of fire or fireball or whatever, there's color back. I don't
understand
know how
why.
that works.
I don't either. In the original firebending still also was in color. But it emits light.
Yeah.
I understand why they didn't go full black and white, because it probably would have been a compositing nightmare to do it like that.
Absolutely.
But it also kind of steals away the entire effect, so I don't love it. And Yue's eyes weren't very obviously blue before, so that's the last thing that I really have to complain about. Post-credit scene, Sozin's comment is coming anyway. Next season,
Yeah.
we'll introduce that probably.
We don't have to go to a library.
Yeah, library. We already know the owl, so that'll help.
I'm excited to see what they can do with a season 2. Yes, things are different. Some things are worse. Some things are better, and overall, it's worse. But still, it's a new medium. It's new content in this world, in this series. It's, well, like I said, it's fine, and the effects were decent.
Yeah, I kind of agree. For the most part, if I have to like rank this or grade this, I would say it's pretty okay, 6.5 out of 10 or something like that.
Well, I would want to rate it another way. If you would rate it on a scale from the original cartoon
That's
to
that's what
Ding
we're
Dong.
gonna get at. Where the cartoon is like a 9.5 out of 10, and one of those fuckers who's like a 10 out of 10 doesn't exist. And even the original cartoon has some less than amazing episodes, and the ending for me really is like, I can't give it a 10 out of 10 with an ending like that. But 9.5 out of 10 for the original. And then the M. Night Shyamalan, I said it, is like a 2 out of 10. So this is definitely closer to the original than it is to the 2010 movie.
Yeah.
But not by a wide margin. Like it's a pretty it's a pretty good middle ground between the two that edges a little closer to being good.
Yeah, I would say if you would just take the scale of the original cartoon being a 10 and Shamalama Ding Dong being a 1, if you would just take that as a scale, for me this would land a 7.5, 7, something.
Yeah,
like
if you take like the scale a little bit stretched out from instead of 2 to 9.5 from 1 to 10, I think I would then land somewhere in the vicinity of like a 7. That said, I'm very unlikely to rewatch this like at all.
Well, I'm at least gonna rewatch this with my girlfriend to see how it fares with someone who hasn't seen anything of the original.
That is
Apart
very
from
interesting,
that,
yes.
yeah.
But like the original, I have like without kidding, since it came out, I think on average watched about once a year. So I've seen it probably, let's say 15 times all the way through, and more if you count just like watching separate episodes or watching. What I sometimes do is I just want to watch season 2 through the end, season 3 to the end, or only the second half of season 3 to the end, from like when Zuko joins to the end. So those last like 10 episodes, I have seen so fucking much more. But from beginning to end, I think I've watched about 15 times. I don't think I will be watching this a second time.
Yeah, well, apart from watching with my girlfriend, and I don't think I will. For me, the original, I think I watch it about once every 2 years, and then I just watch the whole thing spread over a few nights. Maybe when next time I do that, I'll add another night just to watch this, or maybe just watch the first season of the original and then watch this to compare or whatever.
That'll be an interesting like thought experiment.
Mostly just to compare and as a exercise in filmmaking. For other purposes, yeah, I don't need to see this again just purely on entertainment level. No.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we've got it there for now. We're 4 hours into recording. Let's stop. It's way too fucking long. I don't know when this is getting uploaded. It's probably after the Kingdom Hearts Union Cross episode, so we'll be back in a couple of weeks with more Kingdom Hearts stuff. And when season 2 of this drops, we'll probably do something similar again. But that's going to be a while. So subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. Again, if you did this deep in, you've probably already, because you're a good person. You're a good guy, and I'm going to burn your face off for it, because that's just how people are, apparently.